Immortal family of the Clear River. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 351, Secret Descent from the Mountain. Hearing this, Qingming immediately stopped what he was doing. Ever since he broke through to the late stage of foundation building during his retreat, Feng He, who had been following him, had never spoken to him on his own initiative. Today, seeing him start to pack up, the old guy couldn't sit still anymore. I promised you last time that as long as I break through my cultivation level, I will go out and help you find a suitable body. Qingming, always speak with confidence. You must have noticed this after following me for all these years. Haha, not bad. You are indeed a straightforward person who keeps your word. I also like your character very much. It seems that my decision to cooperate with you was the right one. Qingming shook his head and put the remaining things he needed into the storage bag. He slowly said, Senior, don't be too happy too soon. You know that this is not an easy matter. If someone finds out my intentions when I go out this time, it will be difficult for the two of us to escape the pursuit of the Xiaoyao sect. Humph. If you're afraid, there is a safer way. Just bring the child here. Hearing the implicit meaning in Feng He's words, Qingming immediately understood that it seemed that the old guy had already taken a fancy to Yuanli, who had just come up the mountain not long ago. Senior, I think you'd better not think about this anymore. Not to mention that there are risks in doing so. I'm not the kind of clan leader who would sell out my own people at will. Haha. You're too young, you don't know what the world of immortal cultivation is like. When you form a golden elixir in the future, you will understand that the family you are protecting with all your heart now will only be a stepping stone on your road to cultivation. By then, the life and death of several clansmen should be no more important to you than ants crawling on the ground. Well, even if what you said is right, Senior, it's indeed too early for me. Now I'm just a small foundation building cultivator. I can't see such long-term things, and I really can't do this. Please be a little understanding. After Qingming finished speaking, he activated several restrictions set at the entrance of the cave, and quietly left Funiu Mountain under the cover of night. A month later, in a restaurant in Yianfang, Weiguo, Qingming, who had ordered a table of delicious spiritual food, was sipping the spiritual wine in his hand while watching the endless stream of pedestrians coming and going on the street downstairs. Feng Daoyao, have you heard that last month a guy found 5 second-level fiery grasses near Laodushan? What? You mean Laodushan? I've been to that place before. How could there be second-level fiery grasses there, and 5 of them were found at once? Are you telling the truth? At a dining table not far from Qingming, 2 young casual cultivators were talking in a low voice about something. Because they were close enough, they didn't expect that the inconspicuous green-robed man with a cloak sitting next to them would be a highly skilled foundation-building cultivator. Everything they said fell into Qingming's ears word for word. The news from Xiang Pavilion yesterday, how could it be false? I heard that guy got 800 spirit stones in one go. He was really lucky. Brother Feng, since you have been to Mount Mountain, you must be very familiar with it. Why don't we go there together to have a look? Maybe there are some second-level spirit medicines that have not been found yet. Yes, Taoist friend is right. While the news has not spread, we will set off immediately after we finish eating to avoid being beaten to the punch by others. That's great. I just had this idea. Many casual cultivators from the north of Weiguo gathered near Yianfang. These casual cultivators did not have fixed spirit veins for cultivation, and most of them lived in poverty. For a few trivial spirit stones for cultivation, they had to travel in the dangerous floating cloud mountains all year round. And the floating cloud mountains, where the demons and humans intertwine, can not only find the spiritual resources most needed by various cultivators, but also be full of opportunities that can make ordinary cultivators turn over overnight. In order to attract more cultivators to the Funiu Mountains to search for spiritual objects, Yianfang often deliberately releases news about ordinary cultivators finding high-level spiritual objects. When Qingming was in Yianfang in his early years, he saw many young cultivators like these 2 people. After hearing the news that others had become rich overnight, they rushed into the Funiu Mountains. Seeing the 2 people leave the restaurant with excitement, Qingming smiled and shook his head, and continued to taste the delicious spiritual food on his table. Since the old man Feng He was around, Song Qingming has not left Funiu for more than 10 years in order not to expose the secret of the incomplete map on his body, and he dared not show the ability of the incomplete map to quickly restore mana in front of him. In order to keep the secret, Song Qingming has not been able to draw talismans with the help of the incomplete map to exchange for spiritual stones in the past 10 years. The savings that he had previously saved in his storage bag have now been almost spent. Now it is a luxury for him to have such a spiritual meal. As his cultivation level became higher and higher, the elixirs and spiritual objects needed for daily cultivation became more and more expensive. Spiritual stones became very important to Song Qingming. If he didn't send Fenghe, the great god, away from him, Song Qingming felt that he couldn't hold on any longer. This was also one of the reasons why he made up his mind to go down the mountain to solve the matter. Fenghe, a unyielding old monster with a high level of cultivation, never followed too many rules. If he knew the secret of the incomplete map, it was hard to guarantee that the old guy would not be tempted. Not long after the two people sitting on the side left, a thin-looking man in yellow came to the second floor. He ignored the waiter who took the initiative to greet him. After a slight glance on the second floor, the man in yellow went straight to where Song Qingming was. "Senior, the thing you asked me to inquire about last time has already made some progress." The man in yellow walked in front of Song Qingming, cupped his hands and said respectfully, "Oh, don't be in a hurry, sit down and talk slowly." Song Qingming waved to the newcomer, motioning him to sit down and eat together. The man in yellow sat down a little embarrassedly, looking at the table full of delicious spiritual food. He did not dare to pick up the bowl and chopsticks in front of him, but just drank a glass of spiritual wine handed to him by Song Qingming. "Senior, just a few days ago, a cultivator in the market saw people from the Four Seas gang appear near Lingyuan Mountain. Lingyuan Mountain is a rocky mountain, and few people go there. It is estimated that they are very likely to hide there." "Good. You did a good job on this matter. You can keep these spiritual stones first. As long as I can find them successfully this time, I will definitely thank you again when I come back." After Song Qingming finished speaking, he took out a dozen spiritual stones from the storage bag, handed them to the man in yellow, and then got up and left the restaurant. Chapter 352, Four Seas Gang. Lingyuan Mountain is more than 1,000 miles away from Guianfang, and is already on the edge of the floating cloud mountains. In order to hide his footprints, Song Qingming did not fly the entire way this time. It took him several hours longer than usual to arrive here quietly. This mountain was originally a first-level middle-grade spiritual vein, and all kinds of low-level monsters have been entrenched nearby all year round. After the monster turmoil several decades ago, many monsters around the floating cloud mountains died in the moving wheel. Several Qi Refining period casual cultivators took advantage of the fact that there were no monsters in Lingyuan Mountain and jointly occupied this mountain, opened up a cave and practiced here all year round. Unfortunately, the good times did not last long. Within a few years, many monsters began to migrate southward from the depths of the floating cloud mountains. Overnight, the vicinity of this spiritual mountain was reoccupied by the infiltrating monsters. The casual cultivators could not bear the long-term harassment of many monsters, so they had to give up the cave and leave the mountain. There are many monsters lurking in Lingyuan Mountain now. Although there are few people nearby, it can occasionally attract some casual cultivators to come here to look for monsters. Song Qingming carefully stood in a relatively hidden place at the foot of the mountain to hide his body. When he first arrived here, he had been observing the surroundings of the sacred mountain for a long time, but he didn't see a single figure. He didn't know whether the cultivators of the Four Seas gang he was looking for were still nearby. Just as Song Qingming was carefully observing the surroundings, two somewhat sneaky figures suddenly appeared beside a small hill opposite Lingyuan Mountain. Seeing someone appear nearby, Song Qingming quickly put on his hidden spirit shirt and carefully followed the two people to see where they would go. The two people carefully avoided the monsters nearby and arrived at a forest below the hill. After walking a few dozen steps forward, the figures of the two people suddenly disappeared in a green forest. Song Qingming, who was following behind, did not show much surprise when he saw this scene. He directly put away his hidden spirit shirt and slowly revealed his figure. "Haha. I just wandered around Lingyuan Mountain for a long time but didn't see any human figures. It turns out that they are hiding here." Song Qingming's purpose of going down the mountain this time was naturally to help Feng He find a suitable person to possess. The reason why he targeted the Sihe gang was that he heard that there was a person with good spiritual roots among this group of casual cultivators. The Sihe gang, like the Firewolf gang that Song Qingming had seen when he rescued Shi Chun, is a casual cultivator organization that lingers near the floating cloud mountains. These people often bully the casual cultivator monster hunting teams that enter the floating cloud mountains by relying on their large numbers, and rob them of the monster corpses or spiritual objects that they have worked hard to obtain. Such casual cultivator organizations do not like to fight with monsters, and always want to survive by robbing others. Some of them have a bottom line and only rob spiritual objects without hurting people's lives. Some of them have a poor bottom line, and are notorious for being basically no different from the abandoned cultivators in Yingchao Ridge. Qi Refinement would naturally not welcome these unruly and often disruptive loose cultivator organizations. On the contrary, some loose cultivator organizations with bad reputations would appear on the wanted list issued by Qi Refinement. It was for this reason that Song Qingming felt that these people were a good target. These people were on the wanted list of Qi Refinement. Even if they were killed directly outside, no one from Weiguo would come out to investigate the matter. After leaving Funiu, Song Qingming went directly to Qi Refinement and began to secretly inquire about the news of these loose cultivator forces on the wanted list in Qi Refinement. The leader of the Sihe gang was a 9th-level Qi refining cultivator named Wang Sihe. Although he was a loose cultivator, his cultivation speed was very fast. He had cultivated to the 9th level of Qi refining before he was 50 years old. It was rumored that this person was very likely a double spiritual cultivator with outstanding spiritual roots. When Wang Sihe entered Taoism in his early years, he married into a Qi refining family. After he had a stable spiritual cultivation, his cultivation level improved very quickly. However, because of his status as a son-in-law, he was never trusted by the family and his status was extremely low. In anger, he abandoned his Taoist partner and left the family to become a casual cultivator again. Since then, he has been hanging around Qi Refinement. More than a decade ago, Wang Sihe's cultivation level broke through to the late stage of Qi refining. He and several like-minded people established the Sihe gang. He wanted to make friends all over the world and go out to hunt monsters together. Unfortunately, he thought too simply. Since the establishment of the Sihe gang, it has been repeatedly excluded by the surrounding casual cultivation forces and gangs. Wang Sihe was a master who was unwilling to suffer losses. After several fights, the Sihe gang offended many people and it was difficult for them to gain a foothold in Qi Refinement. Wang Sihe was furious, so he simply left Qi Refinement with his brothers and began to mingle in the floating cloud mountains. In order to survive and practice, in addition to their daily monster hunting, they also began to attack other casual cultivators who entered the floating cloud mountains. Over time, the Sihe gang and Wang Sihe and others were all on the wanted list of Qi Refinement. After finding the hiding place of the Sihe gang, Song Qingming no longer hid his whereabouts. He walked out in his swagger and came directly to the woods. Before, he saw that the two people suddenly disappeared when they walked here. Song Qingming had also seen that this place had been hidden by a formation. Although this hidden formation is somewhat sophisticated and can deceive the low-level monsters nearby, it still seems a little inadequate in front of Song Qingming, a second-level formation master. Knowing how to set up a phantom array, it seems that there is a formation master among these guys. Song Qingming observed the surroundings patiently, muttered to himself, and took out several formation flags he carried with him from his storage bag, inserted them into the positions of the formation eyes around him, and began to prepare to set up a method to break the formation. This senior. Please don't destroy the formation we have set up. May I ask if you have any instructions? Please tell me directly, so that we can help you solve your worries. Song Qingming had just started to cast a spell, but he saw that the green forest suddenly blurred and showed another scene. Song Qingming took a closer look and found that it was the cultivator who controlled the phantom array inside who took the initiative to remove the phantom array. After a while, 7 or 8 figures walked out from the side, walked quickly to Song Qingming and bowed. Among these people, the leader was a middle-aged man in blue clothes. Song Qingming looked at this man and found that he seemed to look a little different from Wang Sihe on the wanted list of Qi Refinement, so he asked a question. Are you from the Sihe gang? Facing Song Qingming, whose face could not be seen clearly under the bamboo hat, the blue-robed monk answered nervously, we are indeed from the Sihe gang. I wonder what instructions you have for us, senior. Are you Wang Sihe? Why don't you look like him? Chapter 353, Getting There First. Junior Ma Tongshen, the deputy leader of the Sehe gang, are you here to look for our leader? Seeing this strange foundation building senior in front of him, who seemed to be coming for their leader, the leading blue-robed monk looked at Song Qingming with a puzzled look. Well, isn't Wang Sehe here now? The blue-robed monk bowed and replied, Senior, you don't know, the leader Wang has been missing for a while, and he hasn't come back yet. We all don't know where he is now. Wang Sehe is missing. When did this happen? Hearing that the person he wanted to find suddenly disappeared, Song Qingming frowned. About 3 months ago, we met a man dressed similar to you near Qi Mountain. His martial arts skills were strange and powerful. He killed several of our brothers with one move. The leader of the gang fled directly when he saw that he could not defeat this man. He has not come back yet. We searched around the area afterwards, but did not see any trace of the leader. It is estimated that he has been abducted by this man. Seeing that Song Qingming did not seem to come only for the leader Wang Sehe, Ma Tuangsheng told them about the bad luck they had encountered not long ago. In order to prevent Song Qingming from believing them, he also asked the 2 companions who were injured by the man in the crowd to put their wounds in front of Song Qingming. He has not been back for several months. How can you be sure that he is not dead, but just missing? Song Qingming looked carefully and then asked another question. Ma Tuangsheng paused after hearing this and then replied, Senior, this is the case. Although gang leader Wang has disappeared, a magic weapon he obtained in his early years is still in the original cave. This magic weapon is quite special and needs to absorb a part of the soul of the cultivator to be used for sacrifice. Unless the soul of the gang leader dissipates after refining it, other people cannot use it for sacrifice. It was only after we checked the magic weapon that we determined that the gang leader should still be alive. Where's this magic weapon now? Take it out and show it to me. As soon as Song Qingming finished speaking, Ma Tuangsheng had a yellow bell in his hand. He respectfully handed it to Song Qingming with a look of reluctance in his eyes. Although this bell does not look high grade, it is only a first-level medium-grade magic weapon, but this thing is a very rare magic weapon that attacks the soul of the cultivator. It is estimated that it can be worth at least 50 or 60 spirit stones on the market. Most of these casual cultivators are not very wealthy, so it is no wonder that Ma Tuangsheng felt so distressed after taking it out. After Song Qingming carefully looked at the magic weapon, he asked Ma Tuangsheng, is the man you met that day a foundation building cultivator? Ma Tuangsheng was silent for a moment and then replied, Senior, to be honest, we are not sure about this. This man did not reveal his cultivation when he attacked, but from the fact that he was able to kill several of us at once, it is very likely that he is a foundation building cultivator who has hidden his cultivation. Okay. I came here to find Wang Sehe today. Since he is not here, let it go. But I still have a question for you, Senior, just say it. As long as we know it, we dare not hide it from you. After Song Qingming looked at them, he raised his hand to adjust the bamboo hat on his head. And then slowly spoke to everyone in a calm tone, did anyone come here to look for you today? Hearing Song Qingming's question, the 7 or 8 people present were stunned for a moment, looked at each other, and thought they had just heard it wrong, and did not dare to answer directly. After a long time, a relatively immature voice slowly sounded in the crowd. Today, except for the senior, I haven't seen anyone else come here. The speaker was a young monk who looked a little dull, and he looked at Song Qingming carefully while speaking. Oh. Are you serious? Song Qingming didn't seem very happy when he heard this answer, and asked Ma Tuangsheng, who was a little nervous next to him again. Hearing that there was something wrong with the tone of Song Qingming's reply, Ma Tuangsheng's mind turned instantly, and he slapped the man who just spoke in the face, and shouted sternly, Yan Hu, you idiot, what nonsense are you talking about? We obviously didn't see anyone today, how could anyone come to see us? Yan Hu was suddenly slapped by Ma Tuangsheng, and he was unprepared and fell to the ground. He looked at the people around him with some grievance. What surprised him was that after seeing him being beaten, everyone did not step forward to stop Ma Tuangsheng, but instead cast some unfriendly eyes at him. After knocking Yan Hu, who was still a little confused, to the ground, Ma Tuangsheng did not explain anything to him. He immediately turned around and said to Song Qingming in a flattering manner, Senior, don't worry. We haven't said anything today, and we have never seen you. This guy's brain is not working well, so he is talking nonsense. We will definitely reprimand him later. Seeing that Ma Tuangsheng was so sensible, Song Qingming finally nodded and laughed softly. Haha. You are a sensible person. This magic weapon is of no use in your hands. Why don't you give it to me? Do you think these spirit stones are enough? Thank you for the reward, senior. Seeing that the bag thrown by Song Qingming contained nearly 100 spirit stones, Ma Tuangsheng and the people around him smiled and knelt down to thank him. After putting away the bell in his hand, Song Qingming moved his feet, displayed the light body technique that he had practiced for many years, and left here quickly. When they reached a small valley more than 100 miles away from Lingyuan Mountain, Song Qingming stopped and took out the yellow bell again, muttering to himself. Senior Feng, you said before that the person who kidnapped Wang Sihe might be a demon cultivator. Is this true? As soon as Song Qingming finished speaking, an old voice quickly sounded from behind Song Qingming. According to what they said before, kidnapping people for no reason and having strange skills, most of those who would do such a thing are those demon cultivators who are not willing to see the light. Now you have this magic weapon in your hand, just do as I say. As long as this person has not left we go, I will definitely help you find him. Since the senior is sure of this, let's not waste time here and go find this person directly. After learning the news that Wang Sihe was kidnapped, Song Qingming was really a little surprised. He went to Yunfang to inquire for more than half a month and finally found such a suitable person, but someone got there first. He was a little discouraged. Just when he was about to go back, the fang on his body suddenly secretly told him that the person who kidnapped Wang Sihe should be a demon cultivator. As long as Song Qingming took the bell magic weapon in Ma Tuangsheng's hand, he could help Song Qingming deal with the demon cultivator and take back Wang Sihe. Chapter 354, Magical Technique. After hearing Feng He's sudden suggestion, Song Qingming thought for a moment and decided to listen to his idea and took the yellow bell from Ma Tuangsheng's hand. Not long after, Feng He directly passed on a set of spells called Yinfeng Soul Guiding Technique to Song Qingming, allowing Song Qingming to separate the trace of Wang Sihe's soul attached to the magic weapon and put it into the soul gathering bowl that had been prepared long ago. After the cultivator's soul is forcibly separated from the magic weapon, it will take the initiative to return to the location of the main body. However, if the distance between the two is too far and it cannot return to the main body for a period of time, this trace of soul will automatically dissipate in the world. For this reason, Song Qingming can only seal Wang Sihe's soul in the soul gathering bowl that can preserve the soul, so that the soul can be maintained for at least 2 months without automatically dissipating. Next, as long as he follows the guidance of Wang Sihe's soul in the bowl, he can find the location of the demon cultivator who kidnapped him. Senior, I didn't expect you to have a spell that can strip a cultivator's soul so quickly. To be honest, I've been to Xiaoyao Sec's Good Deeds Pavilion several times, but I haven't seen a spell as mysterious as the soul summoning spell there, haha. I got these spells from those demon cultivators. You certainly can't see them in a famous and upright place like Xiaoyao Sect. Hearing Song Qingming's flattery, Feng He didn't hide too much from him and directly told him the origin of this skill. However, what he said was light and indifferent, but it sounded like a thunderclap in Song Qingming's ears, making his face turn pale in an instant. What? This is actually a spell of a demon cultivator, senior, are you trying to kill me? Haha, I said, you kid, do you have to make such a fuss? It's just practicing a spell of a demon cultivator, and you're scared like this. Seeing Song Qingming's somewhat lost look, Feng He immediately laughed contemptuously. Seeing that Song Qingming was still puzzled, Feng He continued, whether we are righteous cultivators or demon cultivators, or those demon cultivators who have cultivated to the point where they can transform into human form, although we follow different paths and have different techniques and mental formulas, our ultimate goal is the same, which is just for a chance to ascend to the upper realm. Demon cultivators eat people, and demon cultivators sacrifice blood to living beings, aren't they all for the purpose of improving their own cultivation? Are we cultivators who claim to have righteous techniques all upright people? Those high-level cultivators who appear to be righteous on the surface, mortals or low-level cultivators are also like ants in their eyes. In this world of cultivating immortals, the reason why demon cultivators are despised by righteous cultivators and want to be suppressed is because most of the techniques they cultivate are eager for quick success, which will affect the cultivator's temperament. This also leads to these people doing things that go against the way of heaven, such as sacrificing blood to other cultivators and ordinary mortals, for their own cultivation. But this does not mean that all magic skills are bad. As long as you do not focus on magic skills and only practice some practical small spells, it will not affect the cultivator's own character. In the world of immortal cultivation, there are many skills that are ancient magic skills that have been renamed. It is not uncommon for high-level cultivators like us who have dealt with magic cultivators to know a few magic skills. It's just that for the sake of their own reputation, they generally don't take the initiative to show it in front of others. After hearing Feng He's explanation, Song Qingming felt that what he said made some sense, so his face gradually returned to normal. Senior, I want to ask you one more thing. The soul-devouring art that you gave me back then, is it also a set of magic skills? Haha. You think too much? If I really want to deal with you, there is no need to resort to such selfless tricks. The soul-devouring art is not a method of magic cultivation. I spent a lot of effort to obtain this set of skills from an ancient secret realm. However, the skills originally used ancient inscriptions that are difficult to comprehend. Over the years, I can only comprehend it to the Golden Core realm. If you still want subsequent skills, it depends on whether I can quickly recover and continue to practice. In fact, Song Qingming has been practicing the soul-devouring art for more than 10 years. If it is really a magic skill, he should have discovered the clues long ago. He just asked casually on purpose. He and Feng He had already signed a soul contract that bound the life and death of both parties. Unless this old guy wants to live, he will never dare to use such means to plot against him. After so many years of cultivation, Song Qingming has grown very fast in all aspects. Although he is not as scheming as Feng he is no longer a naive young man. Feng He's right. In this seemingly peaceful world of cultivation, there are all kinds of dangerous calculations. Although most of the demon cultivators are sinister and vicious, there are also many scheming and cunning people among the righteous cultivators. In comparison, Song Qingming feels that the faithful demon cultivators like Ho Feng and Long Feng that he has dealt with may be more trustworthy. In Qi Mountain, in the law enforcement hall of Xiaoao sect, 2 foundation building cultivators on duty were busy handling various affairs in the hall. Suddenly, a Qi refining disciple in white clothes walked into the hall anxiously and handed a white letter that he had just received to an older gray-clothed foundation building cultivator sitting on the left. The gray-clothed old man opened the letter and read it. After a while, he suddenly frowned and his face became a little heavy. Brother Wang, where did this letter for help come from? Seeing that the gray-robed old man had a strange expression on his face, another young cultivator sitting on the side immediately asked. The gray-clothed old man handed the letter in his hand directly to him and said seriously, this was just sent by junior brother Su of Tenglongfang. Several disciples he sent to patrol the Blackstone Valley a few days ago suddenly disappeared. He went to the valley to investigate personally and found that a tricky foundation building demon cultivator appeared there. Junior brother Su fought with him, but was defeated by this demon and almost lost his life. Later, he fled back to Tenglongfang and sent a letter for help. Although this demon is very likely coming for the demon suppression tower in the Blackstone Valley, senior brother, don't be too nervous. Junior brother Su's cultivation is only at the 3rd level of foundation building. Since he was able to escape from this demon, it seems that this demon's cultivation is not very high. Besides, the seal of the demon suppression tower was set by Uncle Bai himself. A foundation building demon alone will definitely not be able to break the seal in a short time, although there is some truth in what you said. This matter involves the big demon Xiao Wang, so we still can't be too careless. We must send people to support him quickly. Chapter 355 Shadow. In the Blackstone Valley, a man in a black robe and a bamboo hat was next to a white formation covered with runes, casting a spell on a red flag with strange patterns in his hand. After about an incense stick of time, a strange black wind suddenly rolled up above the flag in the black-robed man's hand, and bursts of piercing ghost howlings came out of the wind. The black wind circled around the black-robed man who summoned it for several times, and then suddenly flew into the air and gathered together, slowly forming a black ghost head more than 10 feet wide. This ghost head looked very scary, with green light in its 2 eye sockets, 2 huge horns on its head, and a few terrifying screams came out of its mouth from time to time. After seeing the ghost head, the black-robed man chuckled with satisfaction, and then immediately took out a 3-inch long broken sword and cut his palm, spraying a ball of bright red blood in his palm into the ghost head's mouth. The black ghost head formed by the dark wind suddenly became very excited after touching the blood on the black-robed man's hand, and made waves of creepy ghost cries and wolf howls. Go! With a black-robed man's order, the huge ghost head in the sky turned around and pounced directly on the white formation that was more than 10 feet away from the black-robed man. As soon as it touched the white formation, a white giant tiger formed by spiritual light flew out from a white flying sword in the formation. This white tiger was also very fierce. After flying into the air, it slapped the ghost head aside. The black ghost head did not retreat after seeing the white tiger. After turning around in the air, it immediately spit out a mouthful of black dark wine towards the white tiger and entangled the white tiger. After the white tiger was trapped by the dark wind, the spiritual light on its body suddenly dimmed a lot, and quickly used its 4 claws to tear off the dark wind that surrounded it and broke free. The white tiger just got away and ran into the huge ghost head that had already rushed over. Seeing that the ghost head had opened its bloody mouth and wanted to swallow it in one gulp, the white tiger shook its body, as if it had roared, and its body suddenly became a little bigger, and immediately entangled with the ghost head that rushed over. The beast and the ghost in the sky fought very fiercely. The black-robed man standing below seemed to be very confident in the ghost head he summoned. He did not immediately join the battle to help it, but sat aside and patiently recovered his own mana. It may be that summoning this ghost head also consumed a lot of the black-robed man's own mana and blood. At this moment, his face looked a little abnormally pale, and there seemed to be some pain between his eyebrows. As time passed, the spiritual light on the white tiger in the sky became dimmer and dimmer, and the black ghost head gradually occupied the upper part. The gloomy wind from its big mouth firmly suppressed the counterattack of the white tiger below. Half an hour later, as the black ghost head bit the already weak white tiger, the white tiger howled unwillingly, and then turned into several scattered spiritual lights and disappeared completely in the sky. The ghost head had just dealt with the white tiger, and the black-robed man below had almost recovered his condition with the 2 pills he had taken, and his somewhat sickly complexion gradually improved. The black-robed man stood up and slowly raised the red formation flag in his hand. The huge ghost head in the sky suddenly turned into a black gloomy wind again, and then slowly returned to the formation flag in his hand and turned into a ghost head pattern on it. After putting away the formation flag, the black-robed man came to the front of the white formation that had already become somewhat dim, and stretched out his hand to pull out the white flying sword in the formation. At this moment, a strange voice sounded from him. This second-grade, top-grade white tiger demon subduing formation is really tricky. A lot of time has been wasted just to break it. We failed to kill the Xiaoyao sect cultivators who came to investigate. Now they should have received the news and sent reinforcements. We don't have much time left, so hurry in, my dear disciples. The Xiaoyao sect will not take the killing of a few ordinary Qi refining cultivators too seriously. If a Foundation establishment cultivator really died, I'm afraid it would alert the sect's giant and elders to come investigate. In fact, I let him go on purpose before, otherwise it wouldn't be that easy for that kid to escape from me, the black-robed man muttered to himself, then nodded, put away the white flying sword in his hand, and quickly passed through the white magic formation into the cave at the back. About an instant stick of time after the man in black robe left, 2 dark shadows suddenly appeared at the entrance of the cave and slowly walked to the front of the formation that the man in black robe had just destroyed. One of them, an old man in yellow clothes, looked around and spoke to a man in red robe who looked a little enchanting. This guy took so much effort to break the formation outside. It seems that this might be the hiding place of the old ghost. The red-robed man shook a folding fan in his hand, looked at the cave entrance in front of him, and said with an unhappy face, "We have followed this kid for almost 2 years, but we still haven't found the whereabouts of old ghost Zio. We are already uncomfortable enough now. No matter whether the old ghost is in there or not, we have to go in and take a look, so as not to miss anything and miss the best opportunity to take action." The old man in yellow nodded and continued, "Although this kid is old ghost Zio's disciple, his cultivation is only the 4th level of foundation building. I don't know what old ghost Zio is planning to let such a young boy take away the things he hid in Skull Mountain. If Master hadn't been more careful back then, we would never have had the chance to target this kid, haha. Junior brother Leo is right. How could this kid know that we have been following him for so long? In order to find Zio Leoge, I also stayed in Weiguo for a while, but I didn't get any clues. I almost died in the hands of Xiaoyao sect in the end. I relied on losing a lot of cultivation to use the substitute method to get out safely. Zio Leoge has always been the master's confidant. This time, as long as we can find him smoothly, it will be a great achievement for the sect. Master will definitely reward you and me when we go back in the future." The red-robed man said this, and a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Haha. Uncle Hong is still thinking far ahead. As long as I can follow Uncle Master this time, I believe that this day is not far away from us, haha. The old man in yellow laughed excitedly after he finished speaking. It's just a little strange that the red-robed man is obviously much younger than the old man in yellow, but he is called Uncle Master by the old man in yellow, which is really hard to understand. After the two talked for a few words at the cave entrance, they looked at each other and then strode into the dark cave in front of them. When the two disappeared from the cave entrance, the originally desolate Blackstone Valley returned to its former tranquility. Chapter 356, Re-entering Blackstone Valley. 3 days later, Qingming, who had been tracking all the way from the floating cloud mountains, also arrived outside the Blackstone Valley. Standing at the entrance of the valley, he looked at the familiar scene with some surprise on his face, and then looked down at the direction of the trace of Wang Sihei's soul in the soul-gathering bowl in his hand. After wandering at the entrance of the valley for a while, Qingming asked softly, "Senior Feng, your method can't be inaccurate, right? Is this demon really hiding here?" A moment after the voice fell, a somewhat lazy voice slowly sounded. "Don't worry, kid, I have used this method several times and it has never been wrong. As long as this trace of soul belongs to that kid, I still have the confidence to find him. Could it be? Could it be such a coincidence? Is this guy coming for the demon suppression tower in the valley?" The Blackstone Valley is a barren land. As a demon cultivator, Qingming came here. In addition to the demon suppression tower, Qingming really couldn't think of a better reason. Because of his third brother Qing's matter, Qingming had come here once with several fellow Daoists from the law enforcement hall of Xiaoyao sect. It was also at that time that Qingming saw the demon suppression tower in the Blackstone Valley with his own eyes and learned that there was a great demon with profound cultivation sealed here. When he left the Blackstone Valley that year, Qingming had also heard the monks of the Xiaoyao sect discussing this matter with his own ears. Logically, they should have sent someone to guard this sealed place. But now there is a powerful foundation-building demon in the Blackstone Valley. Qingming is not clear about what the situation in the valley is now. He doesn't know whether the monks of the Xiaoyao sect station here have already encountered this demon. Thinking of this, Qingming suddenly felt a little nervous. He didn't know whether he should go forward to wade into this muddy water. If he really met a monk of the Xiaoyao sect, how should he explain the purpose of coming here? To be honest, Senior, I came here once more than 10 years ago, and I know that there is a magic master sealed in the valley. Magic master? Are you telling the truth? Feng He asked in confusion. Qingming turned around and found a secluded place to sit down, and told Feng He, who was still unaware of what happened when he came to Blackstone Valley. This demon has been sealed for hundreds of years and has not been able to escape. It can be seen that the demon-suppressing tower that suppresses him is not an ordinary thing. I don't think it is possible for a foundation-building demon cultivator to easily break the seal in a short period of time. You don't have to be afraid of this. I am here. As long as you don't encounter a demon head above the Jinden level, I can ensure that you leave here safely. After hearing that there was a Jinden level demon cultivator sealed in the Blackstone Valley, Feng He didn't seem to care much. Senior. In addition to the demon cultivator, there may be Xiaoyao sect cultivators guarding the seal in the valley. I am a little afraid that I will bump into them if I go forward, and it will be difficult to explain this matter. Haha. You are right to worry about these things, but since we have spent so much effort to get here, there is no reason to go back empty-handed. I have a few spiritual objects here, you take them first. With these things, as long as you don't encounter Jinden cultivators, it will not be a problem to sneak into this place. After saying this, Feng, who had been hiding behind Qingming, flapped his wings, and then 3 magic tools flew out of his wings and fell into Qingming's hands. These 3 spiritual objects were an egg-sized jade bead, a silver talisman, and a ball of golden fine net. Just put this bead on your head, and it will keep all your breath and mana fluctuations hidden for several hours. Combined with a robe in your hand that hides your figure, cultivators below the golden core stage will never be able to easily find you. The other 2 spiritual objects are sharp weapons against demon cultivators. With your current cultivation level and these 2 spiritual objects in hand, it should be no problem to kill the demon cultivator. Seeing the 3 spiritual objects in his hand, Qingming's face suddenly lit up with joy, and his originally worried expression disappeared without a trace. After putting away the other 2 spiritual objects, Qingming put the jade bead on his head as Feng He said, and an invisible wall seemed to form around him immediately, isolating his mana from the surrounding spiritual energy. This also instantly confined Qingming's breath around him. Seeing that the effect of this object was just as Feng He said, Song Qingming smiled slightly, took out the hidden spirit shirt and put it on, and walked carefully into the Black Stone Valley step by step. After entering the valley, Song Qingming did not find the figures of other cultivators, and immediately quickened his pace boldly. According to his memory from more than 10 years ago, Song Qingming quickly found the cave entrance that sealed the demon suppression tower. Seeing that the magic circle that sealed the cave entrance had been destroyed for some time, Song Qingming also knew that the demon should have entered the cave a long time ago, but he didn't know whether his goal had been achieved. Song Qingming walked forward along the tunnel he had walked through before, and immediately felt a somewhat creepy gloomy wind blowing over. It seemed that it was true that the demon was here at the moment. As soon as he stepped into the huge underground cave that sealed the demon suppression tower, Song Qingming immediately heard a fierce fight coming from the front. After climbing up a large boulder at the entrance, Song Qingming immediately saw the appearance of the entire hall and found that the spells used by those who were fighting were very powerful, and they all seemed to be cultivators above the foundation building level. There were several people fighting in the battlefield ahead. On the left was a tall and thin man in red, fighting against a man in black who was wearing a long robe and a bamboo hat and looked somewhat similar to Song Qingming. On the other side, an old man with a long beard was fighting against a huge ghost head. The old man with a long beard and the man in red were obviously together, and they often looked after each other during the battle. The man in red seemed to have the highest cultivation level among the people present, having reached the late stage of foundation building, and he also had the upper hands in the fight against the man in black robes. However, the old man with a long beard, who was responsible for restraining the ghost head, was much weaker in cultivation. He had been suppressed by the huge ghost head in the air and had no power to fight back. He needed the man in red to look after him from time to time to barely maintain his undefeated status. The two people fighting against the demon cultivator don't look like Xiaoyao sect cultivators, nor do they seem to be righteous cultivators. Could it be that all these people fighting are demon cultivators? Seeing that the scene of the fight ahead was a bit messy, Song Qingming sent a voice transmission to Feng on his body to ask for his opinion. Haha. Even righteous cultivators will fight among themselves, let alone those in the evil path. Even their teachers and brothers can be betrayed. There's no need to make a fuss about it. Song Qingming naturally knew that it was not uncommon for evil cultivators to fight each other, but the sudden appearance of two more evil cultivators did surprise him and disrupted his original plan for a while. Chapter 357, Good and Evil Meet. According to Song Qingming's previous idea, if there was only one person in black robe at this moment, he only needed to get close to him and suddenly attack and kill the demon when he was not prepared. Naturally, he could find Wang Sahe who was captured by him and complete his purpose of chasing him here from afar. But now there are two more demon cultivators. If Song Qingming dares to show up now, these three demons may unite first and shift their spearheads to him. At that time, Song Qingming will be 1 against 3, plus there is a strange huge ghost head in the air, so he will definitely have no chance of winning. Faced with this sudden unexpected situation, Song Qingming had no other good ideas in his mind. He could only lie dormant patiently and wait for the opportunity to see if he would have a chance to take action after the fight between the two parties came out. Fortunately, this underground cave was pitch black everywhere, and the jade bead on his body could help him hide his figure here. As long as Song Qingming did not move forward to the battlefield where the demon cultivators were fighting, he did not have to worry about the risk of being exposed at any time. After fighting for a long time, the old man with the long beard finally couldn't stand it anymore. After blocking the attack of the ghost head, he shouted to the man in red, "Brother Hong, this bull-headed ghost is very powerful. Let's withdraw first." The man in red had already seen the dangerous situation on his side. Seeing that the old man had indeed been forced into a desperate situation by the ghost head, the man in red gritted his teeth and sprayed a blood mist to entangle the black-robed man who had been suppressed by him. Then he turned and flew in front of the old man with the long beard to help him block the gust of wind spit out by the ghost head. With a red-clothed man blocking the ghost head, the old man with the long beard finally breathed a sigh of relief. He had been hit by several gusts of wind from the ghost head in the previous battle, and his mind was a little dizzy. He quickly took out a strange pill and swallowed it, and his complexion improved a lot. After the old man with the long beard withdrew from the battle, the man in red was attacked by the black-robed man and the ghost head alone, but he still did not retreat, and from time to time released the strange blood mist on his body to force the two demons back. After seeing the familiar blood mist, Song Qingming realized that the skills used by this demon were very similar to those of a demon cultivator he had seen decades ago, and a figure slowly emerged in his mind. Back then, Song Qingming had just established his foundation not long ago. When he participated in the killing of the demon leader Yang Wuqi, who was causing trouble for one side, there was a demon cultivator who was also wearing a red robe beside this person. The skills used by this demon were 80% similar to the red-clothed man in front of him. Song Qingming clearly remembered a battle that year. He and Liu Yuanfang and several others finally besieged the red-robed demon cultivator. The man changed his body shape and suddenly exploded into a ball of blood mist. Song Qingming and another Xiaoyao sect foundation cultivator who besieged him were both injured by his last blow. After that, there was no trace of this demon nearby. It is unknown whether the red-robed demon cultivator really blew himself up when he was desperate, or used some secret method to hide from everyone's eyes and performed a trick of escaping from the shell. However, the figure and appearance of the red-robed man in the cave at the moment were somewhat different from the red-robed demon cultivator he had seen that year. Song Qingming could not immediately determine whether the two were the same person. This poisonous blood mist was very tricky. Even the black-robed man, who was also a demon cultivator, was also very afraid of this move. Although he and the ghost head in the air had the upper hand, they tried to get close to the red-robed man several times but were forced back by the blood mist. For a while, they could not do anything to him. In fact, Song Qingming had already seen the face of the black-robed man under the bamboo hat. He was Du Yuchen, who had left Guo for a long time after being led into the magic by Xiao Wang's part of his soul. After Du Yuchen fell into the magic, he quickly succeeded in building his foundation, and soon after, under the guidance of his master Xiao Wang, he left Guo with part of his soul. In recent years, Du Yuchen not only obtained some spiritual objects that Xiao Wang had hidden before, but also quickly improved his cultivation to the 5th level of foundation building. He was no longer the Xiaoyao sect disciple who looked a little dazed back then. This time he returned to the Blackstone Valley with Xiao Wang, originally intending to destroy the seal of the demon suppression tower and rescue Xiao Wang's main soul that had been suppressed for many years, but he failed after trying for a long time. Just when the master and apprentice were about to change a method, two men in red suddenly appeared and rushed towards him, which caught Du Yuchen and his friends off guard. The man in red and the old man with the long beard had actually been following Du Yuchen for a long time. Their goal was to find Xiao Wang behind Du Yuchen. After seeing the demon suppression tower that sealed Xiao Wang in the underground cave, the two of them smiled and rushed over to interrupt Du Yuchen's spell. This battle had been going on since Song Qingming came in, and it had been several hours and there was still no way to determine the winner. Just when the two sides continued to stalemate, Song Qingming, who was hiding in the dark, suddenly heard a noise coming from the cave entrance not far from him, as if someone else had come here. Because he didn't know who was coming in from outside, Song Qingming suddenly became a little nervous. Seeing that he was too close to the cave entrance, in order to better hide his body, Song Qingming could only slowly stand up and slowly move his feet step by step into the deep rocks beside him. Soon Song Qingming saw several figures walking into the cave. As soon as these people came in, they immediately saw the battle in the distance, and immediately exclaimed and flew over. The leader was wrapped in a blue lightning, showing an amazing momentum, and shouted loudly at the demon cultivators who had stopped and looked at them in the distance. "You demons, you are so brave that you dare to make trouble in my Xiaoyao sect territory." After this voice fell, it had already flown over several demons. A young man in the Taoist robes of the Xiaoyao sect pointed down with one hand, and the blue lightning surrounding him suddenly turned into a lightning bolt and blasted directly at the three people below. Seeing that it was a cultivator from the Xiaoyao sect, the several demon cultivators present could only stop and face the foreign enemy together. Facing the thunder falling from the sky, the man in red suddenly changed his shape, and gathered the blood mist on his body to his head, swallowing the lightning that fell on him, protecting him and the old man with a long beard sitting next to him. Du Yuchen directly controlled the bull-headed ghost who was still doing nothing in the air, and swallowed the thunder in one gulp. "Haha. It's not so easy for you to keep us, so you should use your real skills quickly." Seeing that his attack did not work, Li Yonggang was not too anxious, and fell directly from the air to the ground, confronting several demon cultivators. Several people who had been following him immediately fell beside him. This time, there were a total of 4 people who entered the cave with Li Yonggang, all of whom were foundation building cultivators who had practiced for many years. One of them was an old acquaintance who had come to Blackstone Valley with Song Qingming more than 10 years ago, Bai Yunhua, a second-level formation master of Xiaoyao sect. The two sides were confronting each other. On one side were the disciples of the Xiaoyao sect, who considered themselves to be a famous and upright sect, and on the other side were the evil cultivators who were hated by everyone. When the two sides of good and evil met, it was natural that some sparks would fly. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 358 Retreat. After seeing that there were no giant-level masters among the people who came, Song Qingming, who was hiding beside a pile of rocks, slowly put his mind at ease. A few days ago, when Du Yuchen came to Blackstone Valley, he was about to destroy the seal formation at the entrance of the cave in the valley when he happened to meet several Qi Refining disciples of Xiaoyao sect who came here for inspection. After Du Yuchen killed these people, he soon alarmed Su Yaolong, a foundation-building cultivator of Xiaoyao sect stationed in Tenglongfang. He went to Blackstone Valley to investigate the matter and fought with Du Yuchen. Although Su Yaolong had been building his foundation for nearly 20 years, he owed a lot of debts to the sect in order to build his foundation, and he has not paid it off yet. Therefore, he usually practices very poorly, and his cultivation level is only the third level of foundation building. Although his opponent Du Yuchen has not fallen into the devil's way for a long time, with the help of the great devil Xiao Wang, he got a lot of treasures that Xiao Wang had hidden back then after leaving Weiguo. His cultivation level has reached the 5th level of foundation building, and he has many powerful magic weapons in his hands. It stands to reason that it would not be difficult for Du Yuchen to keep Su Yaolong in the fight between the two. The reason why Du Yuchen let him escape was that he deliberately concealed his strength. This did affect the judgment made by the law enforcement hall of Xiaoyao sect after receiving Su Yaolong's letter for help. Xiaoyao sect would not be too panicked by the discovery of an ordinary foundation-building demon cultivator, and would not directly dispatch giant and cultivators to deal with it. Du Yuchen had been in Xiaoyao sect for decades, and he was also familiar with the style of the law enforcement hall. If Du Yuchen killed Su Yaolong directly, the law enforcement hall would not be able to figure out the situation in the Blackstone Valley at once, and it might really alarm those giant and elders who often retreated. After all, the Blackstone Valley still suppressed the big devil Xiao Wang. Seeing the Xiaoyao sect's people attacking, Du Yuchen and the other two who had just fought together immediately put aside their temporary grudges and chose to join forces against the enemy. On the side of the demon cultivators, the red-clothed man and Du Yuchen are both very powerful among the foundation-building cultivators. Even the weakest old man with a long beard is a demon cultivator who has reached the 5th level of the foundation-building stage. They are all difficult to deal with. There are a total of 5 people from the Xiaoyao sect this time. Although they are all at the foundation-building stage or above, except for Li Yonggong, a strong man who has cultivated to the peak of the foundation-building stage, the strength of the others does not seem to be very strong. The one with the highest cultivation level is Bai Yunhua, who has just broken through the 4th level of the foundation-building stage. After the two sides met, Li Yonggong took the lead and used a thunder and fire to rush directly to the red-clothed man with the highest cultivation level on the demon cultivator side. Seeing that Li Yonggong's cultivation level is not bad, and he has cultivated some restraints on the demon cultivator's thunder method, the red-clothed man did not dare to underestimate him. He pulled the long-bearded old man, and the two of them stepped forward to stop Li Yonggong. The other Xiaoyao sect cultivators, led by Bai Yunhua, faced Du Yuchen and the huge ghost head on his head. Song Qingming had seen Li Yonggong when he participated in the Taiyu Lake Secret Realm. At that time, he was already one of the best masters in the secret realm sent by the Xiaoyao sect. Now his strength seems to be even better than before. After practicing for many years, Li Yonggong's path has been very smooth. When he entered the Xiaoyao sect at a young age, he became a disciple of a giant and elder. The sky fire thunder already practiced was a very powerful technique. Facing the red-clothed man and the long-bearded old man, he not only did not retreat a step but also had a slight advantage. Bai Yunhua and his 4 people fought against Du Yuchen. At the beginning, the Xiaoyao sect was somewhat defeated. Several people were beaten by the strange wind of Du Yuchen and the ghost head. Fortunately, Bai Yunhua, The formation master took out a set of formation flags in time and gathered several people together. With the help of the formation in his hand, he slowly stabilized the figures of several people. After the two sides fought for a while, to everyone's surprise, the first to collapse were the red-dressed man and the long-bearded old man who had joined forces to fight against Li Yonggong. Li Yonggong was a rare thunder root cultivator in the world of immortal cultivation. Thunder root was a kind of special root. The cultivation talent of this kind of root cultivator was second only to the single heavenly root. There were no more than 10 special root cultivators among the tens of thousands of cultivators in the Xiaoao sect. Without exception, they were all the key objects of cultivation in the sect. Thunder magic was naturally restrained by magic power, and Li Yonggong's cultivation was already at the peak of foundation building. The blood mist secret technique of the red-dressed man turned into smoke and disappeared in the thunder light when it encountered these blazing lightning, which was difficult to pose any threat to Li Yonggong. The long-bearded old man had been injured in the previous battle. At this moment, he could only barely exert 60% to 70% of his strength and assist the red-dressed man in fighting Li Yonggong. The red-dressed man and the long-bearded old man saw that Li Yonggong was really difficult to deal with, and they didn't want to fight him to the death here. After the two of them exchanged glances, the red-dressed man suddenly used a red jade tripod and cast a spell to cover Li Yonggong. After trapping Li Yonggong, the red-dressed man did not choose to continue attacking. Instead, he turned into a ball of blood mist and ran straight to the cave entrance with a long-bearded old man beside him. Demon cultivators are different from righteous cultivators. Once they encounter a difficult opponent, they rarely choose to fight to the end. Facing an opponent like Li Yonggong who can endanger his life, it is not surprising that the red-dressed man chose to escape. "Don't leave, demon, and fight with me again." As soon as the two demons left, Li Yonggong had already broken free from the red jade tripod. He was a little angry and shouted at the place where the red-dressed man and the long-bearded old man left, and then chased after them directly. Diuchen saw that the red-dressed man and the long-bearded old man had already escaped. He took a look at the demon suppression tower not far away, which was still full of seals, and ran straight to the cave entrance with a ghost head, wanting to escape. Bai Yanhu and his men could only rely on the formation to fight Diuchen to a draw, and there was no way to stop him. After taking a look at Diuchen's disappearing back, Bai Yanhu hurried to the demon suppression tower deep in the cave and carefully checked the seals here. Seeing that the seal of the demon tower was still intact, and Xiao Wang's soul had not escaped from here, Bai Yanhu was relieved, because he was a little worried that Li Yonggong, who was chasing the demon cultivators, would be besieged by the escaped demon cultivators. After Bai Yanhu confirmed that there was nothing abnormal about the demon suppression tower, he quickly left here with several Xiaoao sect cultivators. After all these people left, a gust of cold wind suddenly blew in the cave, which had been quiet. A ball of black smoke, like the ghost head that had escaped with Diuchen before, suddenly drilled in from the cave entrance. When the black fog flew a few feet in front of the demon suppression tower, it suddenly gathered together and laughed coldly. "Haha. I have been locked up for so many years, and finally I have the chance to see the light of day again." Chapter 359 Yellow Bird. After the large mass of black fog let out a few wild laughs in the air, it circled around the demon suppression tower for a few times and lit up a strange green light. Then the strange smoke turned from black to green. 5 different colored spiritual lights suddenly shot out from the green smoke. Upon closer inspection, they turned out to be 5 3-inch long copper nails, which were directly inserted into 5 different positions on the seal rune of the demon suppression tower. Then the demon suppression tower, which had been motionless, suddenly began to vibrate violently, and soon the entire underground cave was shaken. Mud and gravel began to fall from some places, as if it was about to collapse. At the same time, Bai Yuxin, who was in seclusion in the cave house of Qingming Mountain, suddenly opened his eyes and showed a puzzled expression. Xiao Wang is really worthy of being a demon. He has been sealed for so many years, but he still has the ability to break the seal I set. After muttering to himself, Bai Yuxin shook his head, quickly put away his own magic power, stood up and walked out of the cave house. "Master, why did you come out of retreat early? Do you have any instructions?" The disciples who had been waiting outside Bai Yuxin's cave house saw Bai Yuxin coming out of the cave house gate and hurriedly came up to bow their heads. "There is a problem with the seal in Blackstone Valley. I have to go to the law enforcement hall to find Junior Brother Li. You take good care of the cave house, since his body was sealed in Blackstone Valley. Xiao Wang spent hundreds of years trying to loosen the seal on the demon suppression tower and escape part of his soul. Later, although he controlled Du Yucheng and helped him enter the magic path and successfully build his foundation, after Bai Yuxin strengthened the seal of the demon suppression tower, Du Yucheng's foundation building period cultivation alone could not help him escape. For this reason, Xiao Wang could only possess Du Yucheng and leave Weiguo first. He found a hidden cave house he had built before, took out many treasures he had hidden before, and exchanged these things for spiritual objects. After more than 10 years, he successfully refined the 5 spirit nails magic weapon that can break the seal. The magic weapon, the 5 spirit nail, can temporarily pin down a portion of the 5 elements of spiritual energy in the seal array, causing a gap in the seal rune of the entire demon suppression tower, so that the sealed Xiao Wang can use the gap to escape from the demon suppression tower. Not long after the gap appeared above the magic array rune, a pale and skinny arm slowly stretched out from the demon suppression tower. This hand was so thin that it seemed to be just skin and bones, with very thin and long nails like spikes on it, looking like an evil ghost crawling out of hell. Although the seal of the demon suppression tower was disrupted by the 5 spirit nail, the seal on it was not completely destroyed. Xiao Wang struggled hard for a long time before he only managed to expose his hands and a very ugly human head from the tower. It would take at least half an incense stick of time to completely leave the demon suppression tower. Just as Xiao Wang was trying hard to escape from the demon suppression tower, a very dazzling golden light suddenly lit up in the air not far from him, directly shining on the strange green smoke that controlled the 5 spirit nail. A somewhat shrill scream came from the green smoke, and then a middle-aged man in a yellow robe fell from the smoke and hid a pile of rocks on the ground. What's going on? Who is it? Who is attacking me? Get out of here! This sudden change surprised Xiao Wang, who had not yet completely left the demon suppression tower. He casually swung a sharp crescent-shaped knife light towards a dark corner. As soon as the knife light flew there, a flash of spiritual light flashed in the darkness, and a man in a green robe wearing a bamboo hat flew out and landed on a stone platform not far from Xiao Wang. This man in a green robe was Song Qingming, who had been hiding in the cave. After the people from Xiaoyao sect and Du Yucheng left, Song Qingming wanted to leave here first, but he just touched the exit and a wind crane on his body suddenly reminded him that someone else had come in. Song Qingming, who didn't want to easily expose his identity, had no choice but to return to the underground cave and hide again. After seeing that person wrapped in a ball of black mist coming in and casting a spell to destroy the seal of the demon suppression tower, Song Qingming also seized the opportunity, approached him by surprise, and cast a spell to sneak attack the yellow-robed person who operated the 5 spirit nails, trying to prevent Xiao Wang from escaping. After being sealed here for so many years, you can still use such a powerful spell. I really admire your profound magic power. Xiao Wang saw that Song Qingming, who showed up, was not the giant and cultivator he was worried about. His face slowly calmed down, and he smiled at Song Qingming and said, "Humph. Since you know how powerful I am, you still dare to come out to block my way. I don't know if you are really too brave or you don't know how to live or die, haha. You thought that after they quarreled, you would come back to reap the benefits. I didn't expect that the mantis stalked the cicada, and there was an oriole behind. It seems that God really doesn't help you." Facing Xiao Wang's verbal intimidation, Song Qingming did not show the panic he wanted to see. You are just a small foundation-building cultivator, yet you dare to act like a jackwall in front of me. You really don't know how high the sky is and how deep the earth is. Since you want to die, I can only grant your wish. As Xiao Wang finished speaking, 2 crescent-shaped knife lights that were more ferocious than before flew from his hands directly to where Song Qingming was standing. Facing the magic spells used by this giant and cultivator, Song Qingming did not dare to be careless. He spread out his left hand and threw out a ball of golden fine nets, and cast a spell to open the golden net to protect himself. After Song Qingming injected magic power into the golden net, it instantly became golden and shining. The 2 knife lights hit the golden net, emitting a burst of golden light, and soon disappeared, leaving only a faint trace on the golden net. Jink net, who are you, and why do you have such a magic weapon? Seeing the golden net in front of Song Qingming, Xiao Wang's face instantly became a little ugly. This Jink net is a special magical tool in the world of immortal cultivation, because it is made of Jinyang jade, which is very effective against magic cultivation. Although this magical tool is not very powerful in ordinary cultivators' battles, it is a very powerful magical tool when facing magic cultivation. However, Jinayang Jade is a very rare material in the world of immortal cultivation, and it is impossible for ordinary foundation building cultivators to have this magical tool. Therefore, Xiao Wang was a little confused when he saw the magical tool Jinknet in Song Qingming's hand. Facing Xiao Wang's question, Song Qingming put away the Jinknet and replied calmly, I am just an ordinary disciple in Xiao sect. As for this magical tool, it was of course given by the sect master. Seeing that the Jinknet in his hand easily blocked Xiao Wang's attack, Song Qingming's confidence in stopping the old demon from escaping the seal suddenly increased a little. I'm sorry everyone, someone in my family has been sick recently, and the computer has suddenly broken down, so I haven't written much. I apologize to everyone here. Chapter 360, Battle with Xiao Wang. Seeing that Song Qingming seemed to be well prepared and didn't care about his intimidation at all, Xiao Wang rolled up a black wind with one hand to protect himself, and began to speak confidently. Boy, this demon wants to use powerful means. Quickly attack the 5 spiritual nails on the demon suppression tower. Don't give him the opportunity to cast a spell. Hearing Feng He's reminder, Song Qingming immediately took the initiative to step forward and threw out the black knife magic weapon on his body, and directly slashed at the demon suppression tower not far away. After the black knife was released from his hand, it immediately turned into a stream of light and went straight to a red copper nail on the demon suppression tower. Only a ding sound was heard. Although the copper nail was shaken for a while by Song Qingming's blow, it was still nailed to the demon suppression tower without any damage. Seeing that the attack failed, Song Qingming was not discouraged. He once again increased his magic power and injected it into the black knife. After slashing more than a dozen times at that place, the copper nail was directly knocked off the demon suppression tower by the black knife and rolled to the ground. After one of the 5 spiritual nails fell, the seal rune on the demon suppression tower was no longer restrained by a copper nail, and it immediately recovered a little. Xiao Wang, who was casting a spell, immediately felt that the pressure from the magic circle had increased a lot. Seeing that Song Qingming once again controlled the black knife in his hand to cut the second copper nail, Xiao Wang had no choice but to temporarily stop casting the spell. His left hand turned into a long shadow in the air and grabbed the black knife controlled by Song Qingming. His right hand controlled the yin feng that was originally protecting him and directly turned into several wind blades flying towards Song Qingming. Seeing that Xiao Wang's spell had been interrupted, Song Qingming's face relaxed, and he quickly put away the black knife and retreated to the side. After avoiding most of the frontal attacks of the wind blades, he used the golden net to block the aftermath of these wind blades. Knowing that the opponent was trapped by the seal and was not a big threat to him now, Song Qingming quickly controlled the golden net again to release several golden lights that shot directly into Xiao Wang's eyes. Xiao Wang's body was controlled on the demon suppression tower, and he couldn't move at will. Facing Song Qingming's attack, he could only use his hands to block his eyes. But just as he blocked the attack of the golden net in front of him, the black knife controlled by Song Qingming appeared from behind and chopped directly on his head. After another crisp sound, although the black knife chopped on the back of Xiao Wang's head, it only left a slight blood mark, and it bounced off without causing much damage to him. The body of this giant and cultivator is really hard and incomparable. Even the black knife that has been mixed with silver sandstone can't cause much damage to him. Song Qingming was also a little surprised to see this scene. Good boy, when I catch you, I must drain your blood and make an external incarnation to relieve my hatred. After touching a trace of blood on his head, Xiao Wang suddenly looked extremely angry. Since he formed a pill, no foundation building cultivator has ever been able to cause him such damage. The Song Qingming in front of him has made him hate him to the core. Xiao Wang, as a demon who has reached the peak of the golden core, should be able to resist any attack from a foundation building cultivator like Song Qingming. However, after hundreds of years of being sealed, Xiao Wang's strength is no longer as good as it was in his prime, and now most of his body is still sealed in the demon suppression tower, and he needs to consume most of his energy to resist the containment of the seal ray. The mana he can use is only 1/10 of it, otherwise even 10 Song Qingmings would not be his opponent. Because of this, Song Qingming can rely on the guidance given by Feng, and with a magic weapon such as the golden net in his hand that can restrain the magic cultivation method, he can fight back and forth with Xiao Wang. However, although Song Qingming relied on Xiao Wang being trapped in the demon suppression tower and hide him with magic many times, he still couldn't cause much damage to him. Most of Xiao Wang's attacks were also defended by Song Qingming with a magic weapon in his hand, and he also didn't get hurt. For a while, it seemed difficult for the two to defeat each other. Senior, this old demon's body is too hard. It's hard to injure him with a golden net alone. Do you have any other good ideas, boy? Find a chance to use the lightning talisman I gave you. No matter whether you can kill him or not, you must make a quick decision. Otherwise, if time goes on for too long, the movement here may alert those people outside. The lightning talisman mentioned by Feng. He was the last of the 3 spiritual objects he gave to Song Qingming before entering the Blackstone Valley. Unlike the first 2 magic tools, this golden talisman was a 3rd-grade spiritual talisman. With Song Qingming's current cultivation, he would have to consume at least half of his mana to use it. This is why he had not used it before. Song Qingming has been practicing for so many years and has always been cautious. He did not want to use this 3rd-grade spiritual talisman easily without absolute certainty that he could kill Xiao Wang. Otherwise, if he failed, his mana would have been consumed and it might be difficult for him to escape. This time, Song Qingming entered the Blackstone Valley just to find Wang Sihei, who was captured by Du Yuchen. Unexpectedly, after entering the underground cave, he happened to meet Xiao Wang, who wanted to break the seal. He had thought about escaping directly, but he was a little afraid that Xiao Wang, the giant and demon, would soon find and catch up with him after escaping. Therefore, under the advice and instigation of Feng He, he chose to stop this demon. Song Qingming had already made a feud with this demon. Now he could only give it a last try. If the lightning talisman still couldn't severely injure this demon, then Song Qingming could only choose to escape from here first. After making up his mind, Song Qingming controlled a jink net in his hand again, used the golden light shot from above to close Xiao Wang's eyes first, and then threw out a black knife and went straight to a 5-spirit nail located above the demon suppression tower. Seeing that Song Qingming was unable to break through his defense, he wanted to use the same trick to attack the 5 spiritual nails that affected the seal rune of the demon suppression tower. Xiao Wang sneered and cast a spell again to transform his right hand into a giant hand. When the black knife was only half a foot away from the 5 spiritual nails, he pinched it in his hand, making it impossible for the black knife to move forward. Seeing that the 2 magic weapons in his hands had completely attracted most of Xiao Wang's attention, Song Qingming's face was serious and almost all of his magic power surged up, and madly injected it into a white talisman in his hand. The white talisman in his hand also emitted a dazzling light. 3rd-level lightning talisman, how can you still have such a thing? Seeing the white light talisman in Song Qingming's hand, Xiao Wang's face suddenly showed a trace of fear. Song Qingming, a small foundation-building cultivator, was able to take out a magic weapon like the Golden Palace Net, which was enough to surprise him. Xiao Wang really didn't expect that Song Qingming actually had a 3rd-level lightning talisman, a talisman that specifically restrained demon cultivators. Could it be fate? This guy who suddenly appeared was sent by God to prevent him from escaping. Chapter 361, Soul Fight. Song Qingming ignored Xiao Wang, who was a little out of control. After the talisman in his hand was completely activated, Song Qingming shouted expressionlessly, "Go!" The lightning talisman in his hand flew directly to the top of Xiao Wang's head and quickly fell towards him from above. The white lightning talisman made a sizzling sound in the air, and the momentum was very terrifying. Song Qingming, who had already consumed most of his mana, leaned on a piece of gravel behind him after launching this last attack. He hurriedly took out a few pills and poured them into his mouth. Facing the attack of this fierce lightning talisman, Xiao Wang, who was trapped by the demon suppression tower, had no way to dodge. He could only bite the bullet and use his hands to support several purple shields formed by mana to block himself. After the white lightning fell, a loud noise sounded immediately, shaking the entire underground cave, shaking the ground and rocks, and the large stone platform under the demon suppression tower was blown into pieces and turned into a pile of rubble. Seeing that this lightning talisman was so powerful, Song Qingming, who was hiding in the distance, was also a little stunned for a while. Although he heard Xiao Wang scream after the lightning talisman fell, knowing that he would definitely not be able to recover after taking this blow, Song Qingming still reacted quickly at the first time, stood up and wanted to quickly go forward to check the situation of this old demon. After entering the period, Song Qingming found that a cloud of grey dust had risen near the stone platform, which had covered the entire demon suppression tower. Nothing could be seen clearly. Song Qingming could only take out a second-level inferior wind talisman again to blow away the dust. Unexpectedly, he used this talisman, and a green light suddenly lit up in the dust, and a green light ball flew out of it at a very fast speed. Song Qingming was shocked and hurriedly took out the golden palace net to resist the green light ball, but the green light ball was not aimed at him. After flying out of the dust, it ran directly to Wang Sihei, who had already been lying on the ground unconscious. After the green light ball landed on Wang Sihei's head, it sank directly into his body. Then, Wang Sihei, who was already unconscious, suddenly showed a painful expression on his face. After seeing this scene, Song Qingming didn't know what happened for a while. At this time, he had very little mana left in his body. He could only take back the black knife that had fallen to the side and wanted to go forward and kill Wang Sihei directly. "Boy, don't damage this body. His soul will be handed over to me next." Just as Song Qingming approached Wang Sihei and was about to take action, Feng He on him suddenly spoke to stop him. Then a green light of the same color appeared on Song Qingming's body and directly entered Wang Sihei's body. After seeing this scene, Song Qingming finally understood that the green light just now should be the soul that ran out of Xiao Wang's body. Since Feng He was confident that he could handle him, Song Qingming could only listen to him and temporarily put down the black knife in his hand and carefully stood aside. After Feng He's soul entered Wang Sihei's body, not long after, the two balls of green light flew out of Wang Sihei's body one after another. "My dear senior, I only have a trace of my soul left now. Please don't kill me and let me go." The green light flying in front seemed to be smaller than before, and it begged for mercy to the green light behind it in fear. However, the green light behind it, which seemed to be obviously bigger, ignored his repeated pleas and chased him directly, biting him fiercely. Not long after, it was torn into pieces in the air by the green light. After dealing with the opponent, Feng He's soul laughed wildly with satisfaction, and then returned to the puppet behind Song Qingming. It was also the first time that Song Qingming saw this kind of fight between the souls of cultivators. He was still a little unsure about the outcome of the fight. Seeing that Feng He's soul had returned, he quickly asked, "Senior, have you killed this demon?" "Haha. This guy is just a giant and stage demon cultivator. He released his soul in front of me. He is simply seeking death. Don't worry, this demon soul has been disintegrated. Even if the real demon descends to the world, it can't save him." After hearing Feng He's words, although Song Qingming believed that this old guy had no reason to deceive him, he was still a little worried and went forward to check Xiao Wang's body on top of the demon suppression tower. Song Qingming had not paid attention to this side before. Now that he was close, he found that Xiao Wang's body was not only pitch black, but also had a right hand that had been drooped, and the palm was also broken in half. Although it was still sealed on the stone tower by the formation, it had already lost a trace of life. After seeing this scene, Song Qingming was completely relieved. "I didn't expect that the lightning talisman was so powerful that it could beat the demon's body into the state with one strike." After being severely injured by the lightning talisman, Xiao Wang knew that he had no hope of breaking the seal, and he didn't want to lose the opportunity to escape that he had finally obtained in the past few hundred years. In the end, he chose to give up his body and his soul left his body to seize the body of Wang Sihei on the ground. The foundation building cultivators are still shallow, and the souls in their bodies are very weak. There is no way to kill the souls of high-level cultivators at will. For this reason, Xiao Wang wanted to take a gamble and see if he could take advantage of the dust flying around and blur his vision, and his soul secretly entered Wang Sihei's body to seize the body. When he asked Yu Yechen to hijack Wang Sihei's body and come here, he also made two plans. If the main body could not escape smoothly, he would use this body to seize the body and rebuild. As long as he could successfully seize the body, although he lost his cultivation, he could escape the cage that had sealed him for hundreds of years. Unfortunately, although he had a good idea, his soul was discovered by Song Qingming as soon as it came out. Although Xiao Wang had a great hope of escaping with his soul alone, even if he could not successfully seize Wang Sihei's body, as long as he could find a body before his soul dissipated, he would still have a chance to seize another body and be reborn. But Xiao Wang had never expected that Song Qingming would have a soul of a nascent soul cultivator who was more powerful than him. His soul leaving his body put him in a greater desperate situation. This demon who once dominated the floating cloud mountains died in this underground cave with some frustration. After killing Xiao Wang, Song Qingming wanted to use the fireball spell to destroy the body, But after trying it, he found that the true fire in his body was not able to burn this body. He had no choice but to give up this idea, turned around and put Wang Sihei, who was still in a coma, into a cloth bag, and quietly took the body the thing he liked and left the underground cave that had been beaten to pieces. Chapter 362 Bai Yuxin arrives. Half a day later, several sword lights fell from the sky above the Blackstone Valley, and the Xiaoyao sect members who went to chase the demon cultivators returned to the Blackstone Valley again. Li Yonggong chased the two men in red for hundreds of miles, but because the other party had some good means of escaping, he was ultimately unsuccessful and returned here. Until now, his face still had a gloomy expression. Seeing that senior brother Li seemed a little unhappy, Bai Yanhu could only smile and comfort him. Senior brother Li, although we failed to catch these demon cubs this time, we at least prevented them from destroying the demon suppression tower, and we have completed the mission. Humph. It's a pity that I forgot to borrow the dragon bone boat from Master when I went out this time. Otherwise how could these demon cultivators escape from me? The other Xiaoyao sect cultivators standing nearby did not dare to say much when they heard Li Yonggong's confident words, and could only smile and nod in agreement. Strange, how come the restriction we set up at the entrance of the cave has been broken? Everyone be careful, it seems someone has gone in again. When everyone just walked to the entrance of the underground cave, a tall and thin man walking in the front suddenly shouted to the people behind him. When they went to chase those demon cultivators before, Bai Yanhu and others had no time to repair the formation at the entrance of the cave, so they could only set up a restriction at the entrance of the cave to prevent other low-level cultivators or monsters from entering by mistake. Hearing the tall and thin man's shout, the people behind hurried forward to check together and found that the restriction at the entrance of the cave had been broken as he said. Seeing this situation, everyone's faces changed and they couldn't help but start to worry. It seems that this ban has been broken for a while. Let's go in and see if there is anything wrong with the demon suppression tower. No matter what, we must try our best to prevent the demon from escaping, otherwise the sect will be in big trouble. After Bai Yanhu finished speaking, he took out a silver iron fan and walked into the cave first. Li Yonggong glanced at the few people who were still a little scared, and followed Bai Yanhu in with big strides. Seeing that the two brothers had already expressed their opinions, no one dared to escape in this situation, so they all mustered up the courage to follow. After arriving at the underground cave, Bai Yanhu, who was walking in the front, saw a familiar white figure standing in front of the demon suppression tower from a distance. After recognizing this person, his tense expression immediately relaxed, and he quickly came to the person and bowed. Disciple greets Uncle Bai. Li Yonggong and others behind him had also recognized this white figure, and quickly followed and saluted. Bai Yuxin, who was dressed in white, turned around and glanced at the few people. She waved her hand to signal them to stand up, and then her eyes fell on Li Yonggong, who had the highest cultivation among the few people. Are you the last disciple of Brother Jin? Disciple Li Yonggong, my master is Jin Yuan's Hunren. Facing Bai Yuxin's question, Li Yonggong, who had been very arrogant in front of everyone before, now had a very different attitude. He lowered his head and answered her question respectfully. Although Li Yonggong's spiritual root talent was already one of the top talents in Xiaoyao sect, he was very careful to put away his arrogance in front of the sect's only genius cultivator with a natural spiritual root. Bai Yuxin looked at Li Yonggong calmly and said, I heard earlier that senior brother Jin accepted a disciple with thunder spiritual roots. It should be you. It seems that your cultivation has reached the peak of foundation building. I think you should be preparing for Danji soon. Why don't you stay in the sect honestly, and come here to carry out the mission? Senior brother Yi and the others received a letter for help from junior brother Su a few days ago. It happened that Uncle Li was in seclusion, and the law enforcement hall is a little short of manpower. I was invited by senior brother Yi and the others to help, and I came here just when I had time. The law enforcement hall is short of manpower, and that is something the law enforcement hall should worry about. The most important thing for you now is to prepare for Danji as soon as possible. We, the elders, will take care of other matters in the sect. Uncle Bai scolding, Yun-gong has learned his lesson. In the future, when he returns to the sect, he must strictly restrain himself and not go out casually before Danji. Hearing Bai Yuxin's reminder, Li Yonggong nodded and responded. Although he has a somewhat arrogant personality, he is not a fool who doesn't know what's good for him. After Bai Yuxin gave Li Yonggong some advice, he turned his attention to Bai Yanhu and asked with a puzzled look, you should have been here before me. What happened? How was the seal of the demon suppression tower broken? Tell me first, the seal of the demon suppression tower was broken? How could this happen? Hearing Bai Yuxin say that there was a problem with the seal of the demon suppression tower, Bai Yanhu and the others were shocked. They looked up and took a closer look. Only then did they notice that the area around the demon suppression tower had changed drastically compared to before. Now this area is full of ruins. Although the stone tower that sealed the demon Xiao Wang is still there, it is no longer the same as before. There is a dark thing lying on top of the stone tower, and it is unclear what it is. After Bai Yanhu approached the demon suppression tower, he recognized that it was a half-body skeleton that seemed to have been burned by fire and looked very ugly. It looked like the upper half of the body had just crawled out of the tower, and the lower half of the body was still sealed in the demon suppression tower. At first, Bai Yanhu thought that it was Bai Yuxin who rushed here who broke the restriction at the door. It was not until now that he realized that after they left here, a lot of things seemed to have happened in the underground cave. At least there was a very fierce fight, otherwise the area around the demon suppression tower would not have been beaten into such a dilapidated state. Uncle Bai, before we left here to track down those demon cultivators, I checked the demon suppression tower and found nothing unusual. As for what happened afterwards, we are not clear. From the situation at the scene, it seems that other demon cultivators entered here, broke the seal and released Xiao Laomo, but I don't know what happened. Xiao Laomo seemed to have fought a big battle with this demon, but in the end he still didn't escape from here. Bai Yanhu first told Bai Yuxin about what they had encountered with Du Yechen, the man in red, and several other demon cultivators, and then combined with some of the situations he saw after returning, he expressed some of his own speculations. According to what you said, there were two groups of demon cultivators that entered here, and they were fighting each other. It seems that not only Xiao Wang's disciples came, but also his old enemies. This can be regarded as a coincidence that helped us prevent Xiao Wang from escaping. Although the demon's physical body has already passed away and can't cause much trouble, his soul is still very likely to have escaped. Next, you in the law enforcement hall should pay attention to see if there are any cultivators whose bodies have been taken over nearby. If you find any, notify the sect immediately for a thorough investigation. Chapter 363 Space Magical Instrument. A ray of green sword light suddenly flashed in the silent sky hundreds of miles away from the Blackstone Valley. On this flying sword, which was about a foot wide, stood a man in a green robe who looked a little tired. This place is already very far from the sealed place. Your mana has been overconsumed. You should recover here before continuing on your journey, otherwise it will damage your meridians. Song Qingming, who was standing on the flying sword, looked at the mountains under his feet, nodded and responded, then controlled the flying sword to circle around an uninhabited hill and landed directly in this nameless mountain. After jumping off the flying sword, Song Qingming found an abandoned beast cave nearby and summoned a 5 or 6 foot long green giant wolf puppet beast directly from the storage bag. After issuing an order to the chiffon beast beside him, the green giant wolf quickly entered the cave in front and quickly dug out piles of soil with his hands and feet. It did not stop until the cave was doubled in size. Song Qingming looked at the cave in front of him and found that it was big enough for him to stay. He called back the chiffon beast with satisfaction, and set up a concealment array at the entrance of the cave before entering the cave. Before that, he had already flown for more than an hour at his fastest speed. Now Song Qingming's face was a little pale, and his mana was almost exhausted. Even if Fang behind him didn't take the initiative to speak, he had to find a place to meditate and recover. After killing Xiao Wang, when Song Qingming walked to the entrance of the underground cave, he accidentally encountered a restriction set up by Bai Yanhu and others at the door. Fortunately, this restriction was only set up temporarily by them and was not difficult to break. In addition, Song Qingming himself was already a second-level array master. After some effort, Song Qingming finally walked out of the underground cave without any danger. The previous battle with Xiao Wang had already consumed a lot of time, and it took a while to break the restriction at the entrance of the cave. Song Qingming was very worried that those people from Xiaoao sect might return to the valley at any time. Now there is not much mana left in his body. If he really encounters a master of the foundation building stage like Li Yongguang at this time, Song Qingming has no confidence that he can escape from this person. After leaving the Blackstone Valley, Song Qingming did not dare to stop to rest along the way. Only now did he feel relieved. Song Qingming meditated for nearly 2 hours this time, and after consuming more than 20 spirit stones, he finally recovered most of his mana. After getting up and leaving the cave, he found that it was dark outside. Flying with a sword at night in this uninhabited deep mountain is a bit easy to expose himself. Song Qingming thought about it and decided to wait until dawn before continuing on his way, and returned to the cave. Senior, I have found the body you wanted. Next, do you plan to find a secluded place or follow me back to Qing County? Let's go back to Funiu Mountain first. After all, it's your place. Besides, there won't be any high-level cultivators coming nearby suddenly. It's a good hiding place for me. After I get the body, I still need to practice for a while before I can protect myself. During this time, please help me find a suitable place that won't attract attention. After I build my foundation, you won't have to worry about it. Well, let's do as you say. Since I have promised you, I will do my best to do these things. Song Qingming nodded slightly and agreed to Feng He's proposal. Next, Song Qingming poured out Wang Sihei from a large cloth bag behind him, wanting to check if there were any other hidden dangers left on him that needed to be eliminated, so that he wouldn't be easily found by others in the future. After this unlucky guy was abducted by those demon cultivators, I don't know what kind of powerful restriction was planted on him. Until now, he has almost never woken up. After carefully checking, Song Qingming found that Wang Sihei's soul seemed a little abnormal. There were also very strange black air wandering in his sea of consciousness. It was because his soul was entangled by these black air that he couldn't wake up. Senior, this kid's soul seems to have been tampered with by those demon cultivators. Will this have any impact on you? After seeing the abnormality in Wang Sihei's body, Song Qingming quickly told Feng He about what he saw. Since his life and Feng He's life were still connected, he didn't want the old guy to have any accidents at this critical moment. After listening to what Song Qingming said, Feng He calmly replied, according to what you said, the soul should be locked by the evil spirit, but there is no need to worry about this. After I get this body, I will find a way to break it. You just need to help me find some low-level spiritual objects I want. Seeing Feng He's confidence, Song Qingming didn't say much and immediately nodded and agreed. This old guy had given him a few good things before, and it would certainly not be difficult for Song Qingming to help him find some low-level spiritual objects. Apart from anything else, Feng He has basically never treated Song Qingming unfairly since he owed him a life and death contract every time he asked Song Qingming to help him find spiritual objects or do other things. Song Qingming was not worried about this. When Song Qingming was checking Wang Sihei's condition, his eyes swept across his waist. Song Qingming suddenly saw a strange green jade pendant hanging on his waist, so he took it off from him. After picking up the jade pendant and taking a closer look, Song Qingming felt more and more strange, so he tried to wrap the jade pendant in his hand with his own magic power. Unexpectedly, at this moment, the whole cave suddenly lit up with a dazzling white light, and the green jade pendant in Song Qingming's hand also turned into somewhat transparent white. Is this also a magic weapon? Strange, why didn't I see it at first? Haha. This doesn't seem to be an ordinary magic weapon, it should be a space magic weapon. Boy, if you get this thing, you may make a fortune in the future. Just when Song Qingming was puzzled, Feng He's laughter suddenly rang in his ears. Space artifact? How do you use it? Please teach me, senior. This space artifact is actually similar to the storage bag on you. It is used by cultivators to store items. However, ordinary people cannot use this kind of thing. You must have a cultivation base of at least the golden core stage to use it, so only golden core cultivators can open it. Isn't it a waste of effort? When Song Qingming heard that this thing was a high-level storage bag, his face was still very happy. But Feng He's next words immediately poured a bucket of cold water on his hot heart. Not to mention whether there is any good thing in this jade pendant, Song Qingming's current cultivation base is still a long way from the golden core stage. He doesn't know whether he can successfully form a pill in this life. He really has no confidence in making a fortune with this thing in the future. Chapter 364 Liu Fengtang. Seeing that Song Qingming seemed a little disappointed, Feng He smiled and replied, "That's true, but this space magic weapon is not an ordinary thing. Even if there is nothing good in it, this magic weapon alone is sought after by many high-level cultivators. If you take it directly to a large auction, you should be able to exchange it for a lot of spiritual stones. Isn't that a fortune?" Hearing Feng He's words of comfort, Song Qingming's expression did not change at all, and his eyes were still on the green jade pendant in his hand. He is still a foundation-building cultivator with no big background. Holding such a spiritual object that can only be used by high-level cultivators, it is difficult to explain the origin of this thing. If someone recognizes that this thing comes from a demon cultivator, he will not be able to explain it clearly at that time. Senior Feng He, do you have any way to open this item in advance? Seeing that Song Qingming was still unwilling to give up, Feng He sighed and said, this item has been restricted by the demon cultivator. If I had not lost my physical body, it would not be difficult to erase these. It's a pity that I am now only attached to the puppet with my soul, and I can't use too much mana to forcibly erase the restrictions on it. Since even the senior can't do it, this item can only wait until the future to see if there is a chance to open it, Song Qingming said, and then carefully put away the green jade in his hand. After on the next day, Song Qingming packed up his luggage and set out on his way home again. Blackstone Valley is 6,000 or 7,000 miles away from Qing County, and there are several counties in between. In order not to attract attention, Song Qingming tried to avoid crowded towns along the way, and walked in secluded places with few people. It took almost 10 days before he slowly returned to Qing County. When they arrived near Mount Lingyuan, it was already dark. In order not to alert the family law enforcement team on duty on the mountain, Song Qingming put on a hidden spirit shirt to hide his figure before entering the mountain protection formation. After returning to Mount Lingyuan, Song Qingming immediately put away his robes and hats that concealed his identity, changed into the green Taoist robes he often wore on the mountain, and walked slowly to the top of the mountain. Just as he reached his cave on the top of the mountain, Song Qingming suddenly stopped and turned to look behind him with a look of surprise. Seventh brother, how did you cultivate your spiritual sense? I just got a little closer to you. Why did you discover me so quickly? Seeing Song Qingming jumping down from the rocks behind, Song Qingming smiled and shook his head at her. Didn't I give you the soul forging technique a long time ago? Cultivating spiritual sense is not like other techniques. You still have to put in some effort to reap the rewards. If you are willing to work as hard as I did in the beginning, you will be stronger than me sooner or later. Song Qingming walked forward, looked at Song Qingming, then looked at the cave door that was still closed behind him, and asked with some confusion, Seventh brother, did you go out for a while and just came back from outside? Hearing Song Qingming's question, Song Qingming knew that she should have seen some clues about him and guessed that he had not been in seclusion in the cave all the time. Qingming, there are many people on the mountain, so it's better for you to know some things. Don't tell others that I have been down the mountain. Remember that. Seeing Song Qingming, who always had a smiling face in front of her, suddenly became serious at this moment, Song Qingming seemed to understand something in her heart, and raised her beautiful eyes firmly to meet Song Qingming's eyes looking at her. Seventh brother, don't worry, I know what to do. No matter what happens in the future, I will believe you. Song Qingming patted her shoulder gently, and a smile of relief slowly appeared at the corner of his mouth, and then turned and walked into his own cave. 1 year later, in the Fairy Phoenix Tower in Qinghofang, Song Qingming was in a private room on the first floor of the restaurant, enjoying the delicious spiritual food on the table while looking through the detailed accounts of the restaurant in recent years. On his left-hand side, there was also his nephew Song Xinhu, who had become the shopkeeper of the Fairy Phoenix Tower. More than a decade ago, Li Quan, who knew that his lifespan was about to run out, finally gave in before his death and agreed to his granddaughter Li Hongyu and Song Xinhu to form a Taoist couple. The couple, arranged by their second sister Song Qingwen, officially took over Xianfang Tower 3 years ago. After briefly reading the account book in his hand, Song Qingming smiled and nodded to Song Xinhu who was standing beside him. Not bad. Also, because Qinghofang has been a little worse than before in recent years, Xianfang Tower will also be affected. I didn't expect that you have increased your profits more than usual this year. I will talk to your 14th aunt and ask her to record a merit for you and your wife in the family's treasure pavilion. After listening to the mature middle-aged appearance, Song Xinhu hurriedly bowed to the family's supreme elder in front of him, took the account book handed back by Song Qingming, and happily withdrew. Not long after Song Xinhu withdrew, Song Qingming, who was almost full, also got up and left Xianfang Tower and came to the noisy streets of Fangxi. In recent years, because the floating cloud mountains have gradually stabilized, many independent cultivators in Qinghofang have left here and started to go north to look for opportunities. Therefore, the business of various shops in Qinghofang has gradually become worse than before. Some of the poorly managed independent cultivator shops in the market have even begun to close down. After walking slowly in the crowd, Song Qingming restrained his cultivation, put on a black hat, and came to a shop called Liu Fengtang. This is a shop selling various low-level spiritual objects. The things sold in the shop are very messy. There are some magic tools, talismans, spiritual herbs, and spiritual medicines, but most of them are the lowest level middle and low-grade spiritual objects, and there are not many really valuable things. Several mortal guys were busy sorting out a bunch of messy spiritual objects that had just been purchased in the store. Seeing that someone suddenly walked in at the door of the store, a young mortal woman, they quickly tidied up their appearance and greeted the door. "Master, what do you need? Our store has all kinds of spiritual objects, and we also have newly refined puppet beasts. Would you like to take a look?" Song Qingming glanced at the woman and ignored her. He strode into the store and said to a young man who was dressed like a shopkeeper behind the counter, "Is your boss in the store? I want to find him to help me see if this set of formation flags can be repaired." Hearing Song Qingming's question, the shopkeeper, who had been reading a book with his head down and was somewhat engrossed in it, and didn't pay much attention to the customers coming into the store, immediately looked up at Song Qingming and the formation flags in his hand, and then pointed to the back of the store and said, "The boss is in the back hall. You can just go in." After Song Qingming walked into the back hall, the shopkeeper's face suddenly changed. He put away the books he had loved so much before, and looked intently at the door of the store. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 365, Rebirth. In a secret room in the backyard of Liufang Hall, a middle-aged man with an ordinary appearance was concentrating on making a palm-sized mechanical puppet beast. Seeing Song Qingming suddenly push the door and walk into the house, the middle-aged man looked up at him and threw the unfinished puppet beast in his hand aside. "Hey, Song Xiaoyao, I haven't seen you for a while." Song Qingming looked at the man in front of him who looked 70% similar to Wang Sihei, smiled and nodded slightly, and took off the bamboo hat covering his face. "Senior, it seems that you have almost gotten used to this place. Everything you want is in here. If you need anything in the future, you don't need to send me a voice transmission directly. Send someone to Xianfang Lao to order a spiritual meal. The shopkeeper there will inform me in time." After Song Qingming said this, he threw a yellow storage bag directly to the middle-aged man. This man who looks a bit like Wang Sihei is none other than the senior Feng, he who has been with Song Qingming for more than 10 years. However, he has now successfully taken over Wang Sihei's body and has changed from a high-ranking unyielding old monster to an ordinary casual cultivator with only the 9th level of Qi Refining. A year ago, after Song Qingming brought Wang Sihei's body back to Funiu Feng, he soon used his means to remove the restrictions left by the demon cultivators on him and obtain this body. The original owner of this body, Wang Sihei, was a bandit cultivator who was mixed up in the floating cloud mountains. Except for the Sihei gang, no one else would care about his disappearance, which was why Song Qingming chose him. After Feng He took over Wang Sihei's body, although he used the secret technique to slightly change his original appearance, he was still a relatively unfamiliar Qi refining cultivator. After all, there were many people in Funiu, and Song Qingming couldn't keep him hidden in the mountain, so he thought of a way to send him to Qinghofang. It just so happened that several independent cultivators who originally operated this shop in the market transferred their shops because of poor business. In order not to attract attention, Song Qingming asked Shi Chun to introduce and help Feng He, his good friend, to buy the shop and make him the owner of this shop called Liu Fengtang. Shi Chun was originally an independent cultivator from Gianfang. After joining the Song family, many people in Qinghofang knew his origins. If Feng He pretended to be his friend in Gianfang, no one would doubt it in a short time. After taking over the body, Feng He's cultivation is still relatively low. For his safety and Song Qingming's own safety, it is also a relatively safe way to keep him in Qinghofang before he builds his foundation. Feng He took the storage bag thrown by Song Qingming, opened it and took a look, then smiled and nodded to him with satisfaction. "Good. You have found all these things so quickly. You have really put in a lot of effort. When I refine the wind spirit pill, I should have a 30% to 40% chance of succeeding in building the foundation, and you won't have to look for the foundation building pill. A 30% to 40% chance. Senior, is this wind spirit pill really that helpful for cultivators in building the foundation? Why have I never heard of this pill before? Hearing what Feng He said, Song Qingming was a little surprised. He couldn't believe that in the world of immortal cultivation, in addition to the foundation building pill, there were other pills that could be so helpful in building the foundation. Feng He naturally knew why Song Qingming asked this. He shook his head decisively and said, although the wind spirit pill is helpful for building the foundation, this pill can only be used in conjunction with the exercises I practice and other pills to have such a great success rate. For other people, it is estimated that it can only increase the success rate of building the foundation by 10% or 50% at most. It is not a panacea. After all, I was once a unyielding cultivator. After so many years of cultivation, I naturally have some tricks to build the foundation, but this thing can't be taught to others directly, so don't have such a crooked idea. Seeing that Feng He pointed out what he was thinking, Song Qingming smiled awkwardly, and continued, I didn't expect that the senior is not only proficient in the secret art of puppetry, but also has a deep understanding of alchemy. It seems that I will have to ask the senior for help in the future, haha. Now that we are in a cooperative relationship, it is not a problem for you to help me refine a few pills. In my previous life, I mainly studied the art of alchemy, and my alchemy level has been raised to the 3rd level upper grade. Although my cultivation is not as good as before, it is still no problem to refine ordinary 2nd level pills. Hearing that Feng He's alchemy skills were so advanced beyond his expectations, Song Qingming's eyes suddenly lit up. It seems that if he needs some rare pills in the future, he doesn't need to look for them everywhere. He just needs to collect the materials needed for alchemy and ask Feng He to help refine them. It's a pity that because Feng He's identity cannot be known to others, Song Qingming can't let the younger generations of the Song family follow him to learn the way of alchemy. Otherwise, with Feng He's alchemy skills, as long as there is time, he will definitely help the Song family train 1 or 2 more alchemists. To be honest, after knowing Feng He for so many years, Song Qingming actually doesn't know him very well. When he met him in Lu State, Song Qingming had to choose to cooperate with him in order to get out of the situation. Apart from knowing that he was once a unyielding cultivator and was proficient in puppet secrets, Song Qingming knew nothing about this former high-level cultivator in front of him. Even the name Feng He was probably used by the other party to deal with him casually. You know, there are only a dozen unyielding cultivators in dozens of countries in the entire floating cloud mountains. These people are basically big names who have been famous for a long time. Although Song Qingming has never seen these people, it is easy to find out the names of these big names. Not only is there no one named Feng He among these unyielding old monsters, but no master has disappeared for hundreds of years like him. Therefore, Song Qingming guessed that Feng He should not be a unyielding cultivator from the vicinity of the floating cloud mountains. It is likely that he came from the Xianhe League in the south, or the sects on the islands in the east. The normal lifespan of a unyielding cultivator is at least 1,200 years. Feng He had to practice for at least 400 or 500 years to break through the unyielding in his previous life. He hid for hundreds of years after losing his physical body in Lu State. Logically speaking, his lifespan is not very long now. Although Feng He succeeded in taking over another body and being reborn, it is hard to say whether he can recover his previous cultivation level. After leaving Liu Fentang, Song Qingming did not stay in Qinghefeng for too long and returned directly to Funiu Mountain. As soon as he returned to the mountain, Song Qingming saw from afar a boy of 12 or 13 years old sitting on the blue stone in front of his cave with his eyes closed in meditation. Yuan Li, you waited for me here, but what difficulties did you encounter in your cultivation? Hearing Song Qingming's voice, Song Yuan Li immediately opened his eyes, stepped forward and saluted, saying, Chief, the great elder has something urgent to find you, so I was asked to wait for you here. Chapter 366, Gao Jin passes away. In the meeting room of the Song family in Funiu Mountain, Song Qingming, who was sitting at the head of the group, looked at a letter from the Gao family in his hand. After a serious look of contemplation, he slowly folded the letter and stood up and walked to Song Qingshi on the side. Brother, please go to the gold storage pavilion to get me the 2nd level spiritual medicine collected from the market in the past few years. I need to go to Lotus Mountain in person. Seeing that Song Qingming's face seemed a little wrong and he said he was going to Lotus Mountain, Song Qingshi, who was still unaware, asked with a puzzled look on his face, Qingming, what did the Gao family say in the letter, and why did they ask you to go to Lotus Mountain in person? This letter was sent by the Gao family earlier, because the other party specified that they wanted to hand it over to the head of the Song family in person. It happened that Song Qingming went to King Hefang again today and was not on the mountain. Song Qingshi took the letter and handed it to Song Qingming after he came back. He himself had not read the content of the letter. Gao Jin passed away a few days ago. This letter was sent by the Gao family to inform us that the Gao family will hold a funeral at Funiu Mountain in 3 days. Gao Jin is an old acquaintance, so it is not appropriate to send anyone. I will go there in person. Song Qingming calmly handed the letter in his hand to Song Qingshi, who was still a little shocked. What? Gao Jin is dead. He should have at least a few years to live. How come he passed away so soon? Did something happen to the Gao family? Song Qingming shook his head gently and said, after returning from the Taiyu Lake secret realm a few years ago, Gao Jin seemed to be seriously injured. It is not strange that he lost some of his lifespan. Besides, Gao Yubei, the next generation successor of the Gao family, is not an ordinary person. There should be no accidents. Senior Gao is also a great hero in our Qing County. It is not good to let others go. I will go to the Zhangjin Pavilion and talk to King Si later, and ask her to help you prepare the gift you need to go to the Gao family and send them to you as soon as possible. Song Qingshi left a meeting hall first after he finished speaking. 3 days later, Song Qingming arrived at Lotus Mountain in the southeast of Qing County. This time, in addition to himself, Song Qingming's elder brother Song Qingshi also asked him to bring Song Xin, a younger generation of the Song family. These younger generations followed Song Qingming out to gain more experience. Song Xin, standing on Song Qingming's flying sword, saw the scene of Lotus Mountain from afar, and a hint of novelty instantly appeared on his face. Song Xin is also a 3 spiritual root cultivator with a relatively loyal character. He is the one with the best spiritual root talent among the new generation of the Song family, except for Song Zinayu who worshipped Xiaoyao sect in recent years. His elder brother Song Qingshi has been deliberately cultivating him, and he also thinks that Song Xin can take over his job in the future. The spiritual vein of Lotus Mountain is a second-level medium-grade spiritual vein, which has been managed by the Gao family for hundreds of years. The mountain is dense with spiritual energy, and the number of spiritual fields is as much as 500 or 600 acres. Although it is not as good as the Wang family of Taiyuan Mountain, it is far from comparable to the Song family's Funiu Mountain. After the two arrived at Lotus Mountain, they saw that the Gao family had already activated the mountain protection formation. Song Qingming stopped the flying sword under his feet and sent a sound transmission talisman to the mountain protection formation. After waiting for a while, a woman in yellow with a white belt suddenly flew out of the formation and came directly in front of Song Qingming and the others. Fellow Daoist Song, I haven't seen you for many years. Uiao is polite. Seeing Go Uiao bowing to him, Song Qingming hurriedly bowed and returned the greeting. Fellow Daoist Go is polite. I didn't expect that today I would have the honor of having the fairy come out to greet us personally. The two of us are really a little terrified. Song Qingming had not expected that the one who had come out to greet him would be Gao Yuiao, his former friend whom he had not seen for many years, and there was a look of surprise on his face. Gao Yuiao had established her foundation earlier than Song Qingming, and she was also an inner sect disciple of Xiaoyao sect. Naturally, her cultivation resources were not comparable to those of their family cultivators. Her current cultivation level had already broken through the late stage of foundation building, and it was estimated that she was not far from the 8th level of foundation building. Compared to Song Qingming's lack of surprise at her cultivation level, Gao Yuiao was still a little surprised when she saw that Song Qingming, who came from a small Qi Refining family, could now cultivate to a level that was not much different from hers. I heard that Patriarch Gao passed away a few days ago, and I came here to express my condolences. This small gift is not enough to show my respect, Patriarch Song. You must be tired after coming from such a distance. Please follow me up the mountain first. After the two exchanged a few words of greeting, Go Yuiao raised her hand and cast a spell, and soon opened a small gap in the mountain protection formation of Lotus Mountain. After entering Lotus Mountain with Gao Yuiao, Song Qingming soon came to a hall that had been arranged by the Gao family. Fellow Daoist Song, I didn't expect you to come in person. I thought it would be fellow Daoist King Gaiyu who came here today. After seeing Song Qingming come in, Wang Sibo, who had arrived here before him, hurried forward to greet him. Patriarch Gao and I have known each other for many years and have fought against enemies side by side many times. How can I not come to see him off for the last time today? It's a pity that I came a step later than fellow Taoist Wang. Several foundation building cultivators in the Wang family have been very busy in recent years. The lifespan of the clan leader Wang Shangxin is not long, and he is basically either in seclusion or out looking for opportunities. Another elder, Wang Shengyu, is in seclusion practicing and wants to break through to the late stage of foundation building. Therefore, the Wang family members who have something to show up outside now are basically Wang Sibo, who is only at the third level of foundation building. Because the Song family and the Wang family have always had a close relationship, Song Qingming is already very familiar with the future manager of the Wang family. Clan leader Song. What a coincidence, the junior next to you should be the one you brought here specially to broaden your horizons. Why don't we change seats so that the two juniors can get to know each other? Hearing what Wang Sibo said, Song Qingming realized that not far from Wang Sibo was sitting a young woman wearing Wang family clothes. Although this woman looked young, her cultivation had reached a late stage of Qi refining. It seemed that she was also a leader among the new generation of young cultivators of the Wang family. This time she followed Wang Sibo out to see the world. That's great. Xin, you and Senior Wang should change seats, but don't bully him. Hearing that Song Qingming asked him to change seats as soon as he came in, Song Xin, who was in such an occasion for the first time, immediately showed a trace of panic on his face. He gritted his teeth and took a look at Wang Sibo next to Song Qingming, then bowed and slowly moved over. Compared to Song Xin, who was still a little uncomfortable in such occasions, the younger generation of the Wang family seemed very calm. He stood up naturally and greeted the elder Song Qingming, then took the initiative to invite Song Xin to taste the spiritual fruits on the table together. Seeing the big gap between his own younger generation and others' performance, Song Qingming could only shake his head helplessly. It seems that he still needs to let the younger generation of the family go out more often in the future. Chapter 367 Help. Gao Jin has been in charge of the Gao family for more than 100 years. He is also a very famous cultivator in Qing County. His funeral will naturally not be too low. Basically, all the well-known Immortal cultivation families in Qing County have come to Funiu Mountain to pay their respects. Even several foundation building families around Qing County that have a good relationship with the Gao family have sent people to come. In the hall where Song Qingming came in addition to the people of the Wang family and Gao Yuiao and other cultivators from the Xiaoyao sect, there are also several relatively unfamiliar foundation building cultivators sitting. One of them Song Qingming had seen when the Taiyu Lake secret realm was opened. This person entered the secret realm together with the two people of the Gao family. I think his relationship with the Gao family should be unusual. Fellow Taoist Song, I heard a rumor in the market before that fellow Taoist Qinggai went out to travel. I didn't know whether this was true or not. Fortunately, I met Brother Dao today. Can you help me solve this doubt in my heart? Just as Song Qingming was still scanning the other foundation building cultivators present, Wang Sibo's secret sound transmission technique suddenly came to his ears. Hearing Wang Sibo's question, Song Qingming immediately came back to his senses and looked at him with a puzzled look. No wonder this guy found a way to sit next to me as soon as he came. It turns out that he wanted to test this matter with me in private. A year ago, not long after Song Qingming came back from Blackstone Valley, Song Qinggai left Funiu Mountain to go out for training. Although Song Qingming had already strictly ordered the family not to spread this matter, it would be difficult to keep such a thing secret from everyone after a long time. After all, the Wang family is a family of immortal cultivators that has been entrenched in one place for nearly 1,000 years. Their family in Qing County has naturally had many eyes and ears and is well informed. In addition, Song Qinggai has not shown up for almost a year, so it is not difficult for the Wang family to guess this matter. Seeing that Wang Sibo had asked him face to face, Song Qingming also knew that there was no need to hide this matter from him now. To be honest, Qinggai did leave Funiu Mountain half a year ago to gain experience. After all, this matter concerns the safety of the entire Song family, so we did not inform Taiyuanshan at the first time. I hope Brother Wang can understand. Hearing Song Qingming's generous admission, Wang Sibo, who was already prepared, slowly showed a smile on his face. He raised the wine glass in his hand and continued to say to Song Qingming, "What I said is true, Brother Dao, it is human nature." Today, Sibo was too impatient and his words were a bit presumptuous. "This glass of wine is my apology to you." Song Qingming also raised the glass and replied, "You are too polite, Brother Dao. Our two families have been together for many years, and we have long been allies. Otherwise, I would not have told you so bluntly today." After that, Song Qingming took the lead and drank the spiritual wine in his glass. Wang Sibo smiled and nodded when he saw this, and also drank what he had in his hand. "I wonder where fellow Taoist Qinggai went this time, and whether she said when she would be back. I will definitely go to Funiu Mountain to pay her a visit and ask her for advice. I will also go out and take a look at the scenery in the future if I have the chance." When Qinggai decided to go down the mountain, she told me that she was just going to visit the surrounding areas of Uyghur and would be back in 3 to 5 years at most. "Don't worry, fellow Taoist Wang, when Qinggai returns to Funiu Mountain, I will immediately send someone to Qi Mountain to inform you, okay? Thank you very much, brother Taoist." In fact, when Song Qinggai went down the mountain that day, she did not say when she would be back. The reason why Song Qingming did not tell Wang Sibo the truth was that he did not want to reveal all the details of his side to the Wang family. Just as Song Qingming and Wang Sibo were chatting secretly, two more people walked into the hall, one of whom was Lu Xing, the head of the Lu family. Like Wang Shengaiu, Lu Xing has been trying to break through the late stage of foundation building in recent years, but he has not had many resources to help him break through. He can only stay in the mountains for a long time to practice in seclusion. If it weren't for Gao Jin's death, he might not have come down the mountain. Accompanying Lu Xingdan was Gao Yubei, the future head of the Gao family. The Lu family and the Gao family have always been close, and Gao Yubei, the new head of the Gao family, went out to greet him personally, which was naturally expected by everyone present. After Lu Xing sat down, the important guests invited by the Gao family this time had basically arrived. Soon, sad and mournful music began to sound on Lotus Mountain, and the Gao family officially began the funeral of Gao Jin. Under the personal presidency of Gao Yubei, everyone first came to the mourning hall set up in advance by the Gao family to burn incense, and then paid their respects to Gao Jin's body one by one. As the funeral progressed step by step, the golden coffin containing Gao Jin's body was soon sent to the Gao family mausoleum. Gao Jin's funeral had just ended. Wang Sibo, who seemed to dislike staying in Lotus Mountain, immediately stepped forward to say goodbye to Song Qingming. "Fellow Taoist Song, I still have some matters to deal with, so I will leave today. When the Huangwu tea in the back mountain of my house is ripe in a few days, please come to Qi Mountain and exchange your cultivation experience with me, haha. If I have nothing to do, I will definitely come on time. Since you have something to do, please go first." After bowing and saying goodbye to Song Qingming, Wang Sibo called the Wang family girl who was still talking to Song Xin not far away, and the two of them quickly left Lotus Mountain. After watching the two Wang family members leave, Song Qingming saw that the crowd who came to mourn had slowly left, so he immediately took Song Xin down the mountain and prepared to return to the Song family. Unexpectedly, they had just reached the foot of the mountain when Song Qingming saw a familiar figure appear in front of him, who seemed to be waiting for him here on purpose. "Fellow Taoist Song, can I have a word with you?" The person standing in front of Song Qingming and the others was Gao Yuiao, whom they had met not long ago. Seeing Gao Yuiao's face looking a little strange, as if she was worried about something, Song Qingming turned around and told Song Xin to stay where he was, and then followed Gao Yuiao to the mountain path. After the two of them walked forward for a while, Song Qingming stopped on his own initiative and said directly, "There are not many people around here. Faragao, what do you want to talk to me about? Please be frank." Gao Yuiao stopped, looked around carefully, then raised her hand to cast a soundproofing spell to cover the two of them. Only then did she feel relieved and spoke to Song Qingming softly. "This time Yuiao came to fellow Taoist Song because she actually wants to ask for your help. I wonder if you can help me out once for the sake of our past acquaintance. I don't know what it is. Faragao, can you tell me first? Otherwise, it will be hard for me to know whether I have the ability to help you," Song Qingming replied with a normal expression. Chapter 368 Mysterious Hairpin. Gao Yuiao took the initiative to ask him for help, but Song Qingming was a little confused. Logically speaking, this fairy Gao's cultivation was already higher than his, and she was a disciple of a large sect like Xiaoyao sect. It should not be difficult for her to find a cultivator of the same level to help her. There was no need for her to ask Song Qingming, a foundation-building cultivator from a small family. Because of this, although Song Qingming was familiar with her, he did not dare to easily agree to her request. Gao Yuiao naturally saw Song Qingming's worry. Seeing that no one was around, she said bluntly, "Don't worry, friend Song. I'll start from the beginning. A few months ago, when I was on a mission with several fellow disciples of the sect, I bought a hairpin from a casual cultivator while strolling in a market. At that time, I just thought it looked good and didn't find anything else unusual. After returning to the sect, a senior sister who had a good relationship with me saw it and found that this magic weapon was very special. Part of it was actually mixed with a very rare forbidden god sands in the world of cultivation. Forbidden god sand? Is it the kind of ore that has the effect of shielding the spiritual consciousness of cultivators? When Song Qingming heard Go Yuiao mention the forbidden god sand, a trace of surprise slowly appeared on his face. Forbidden god sand is generally an ore used by high-level cultivators to refine storage magic tools. In the past, Song Qingming might not have known much about it, but since he got the Jade Pendant space magic tool from Wang Sahe of Blackstone Valley a year ago, in order to find a way to open this item as soon as possible, Song Qingming read a lot of books on this subject in his spare time. He knew that many high-level monks like to add this kind of ore when refining their own space storage instruments. This can increase the effect of shielding other people's spiritual consciousness, so that those monks with higher cultivation than themselves will not easily see the location of their storage instruments. If the hairpin that Gao Yuiao bought really contains forbidden divine sand, then it means that this is also a space storage instrument. After thinking of this, Song Qingming naturally showed a little shock. This Gao Yuiao is really a person with excellent luck. She can get a space instrument by buying anything in the market. In comparison, the jade pendant that he got after a battle with the devil Xiao Wang in Blackstone Valley was hard-earned at the cost of almost losing his life. I didn't expect it. Fellow Taoist Song actually knows the use of forbidden divine sand. Have you seen this kind of thing? Go Yuiao was a little surprised when she heard that Song Qingming knew so much about forbidden divine sand. Song Qingming hurriedly smiled and shook his head and said, "In my spare time, I like to read various immortal cultivation classics. I happened to see it in a book that records various minerals, but I have never really seen this kind of ore. The forbidden divine sand is generally used in storage instruments. Could this hairpin also be a space instrument? I didn't expect that fellow Taoist would have such an adventure to obtain this treasure left behind by a giant and cultivator. I am really envious, fellow Taoist Song. To be honest, this thing is not a real storage instrument, but a defective semi-finished product. Except for the effect of isolating the cultivator's consciousness and making it difficult for others to see, it is no different from the storage bag used by us low-level cultivators." After Gao Yuiao finished speaking, she took out a somewhat simple silver hairpin from her waist and placed it in front of Song Qingming. Song Qingming took the mysterious hairpin and looked at it. On the surface, he didn't see anything unusual. It was not until he used his spiritual sense to attach to the hairpin that he found that his spiritual sense had penetrated the hairpin's bead flower when it just touched it. He then discovered the abnormality of this magic weapon. After using his spiritual sense to explore it, Song Qingming found that, as Go Yuiao said, this mysterious hairpin only had a small storage space at the bead flower position, and the space inside was not as large as the space storage magic weapon recorded in the books. It was probably only slightly larger than the storage bag used by these foundation-building cultivators. Although such a semi-finished storage magic weapon could be exchanged for a few hundred spirit stones in the market, it was far less valuable than a real space storage magic weapon. After returning this item to Gao Yuiao, Song Qingming seemed to feel more at ease. As fellow Taoist Song has seen, when we opened this item, it had been stored for a long time, so apart from a few manuals on martial arts, all the other items inside were useless. But in addition to that, we also accidentally found several letters left by the original owner in the hairpin, and that's how we learned some information about her. The owner of this hairpin was originally the Taoist partner of a giant and cultivator, and this item was given to her by her husband. In addition to recording some of their past events, the letters also recorded the location of the cave where they lived. Fellow Taoist, could it be that you want me to help you find this cave? Having heard this, Song Qingming gradually realized the purpose of Gao Yuiao coming to him for help this time. Gao Yuiao nodded calmly and said, "Yes, that's true. The senior sister who discovered the secret of the hairpin and I have agreed to go look for this cave together in a month. However, this is a giant and cultivator's cave after all, and our strength alone is not enough, so we agreed to each invite a cultivator of the same level to go with us. This is the purpose of my visit to fellow Taoists this time. Of course, although I took the initiative to invite you, I naturally dare not let you make a wasted trip. If you are willing to help, after entering the senior's cave, the spiritual objects you get will naturally be shared with you. I wonder if fellow Taoist Song is willing to help. After thinking for a moment, Song Qingming opened his mouth and asked, Fairy Gao, there is one thing I don't understand. If you only need a cultivator of the same level to go with you, wouldn't it be easier to find it in Xiaoyao sect? For your sake, you would go to great lengths to find me to help. After Gao Yuiao's face changed slightly when she heard that, she replied in a helpless tone, Fellow Taoist Song, you should also know that the sect elders suddenly issued a strict order a year ago, no longer allowing sect cultivators to go deep into the floating cloud mountains and make enemies with the demon clan in the near future. Could it be that this cave is in the floating cloud mountains? Although Song Qingming rarely left Qing County after returning from the Blackstone Valley, he knew something about what was happening outside. Naturally, he also heard about this order issued by the Xiaoyao sect to his disciples. Go Yuiao smiled bitterly and said, Fellow Taoist Song guessed right. This cave is indeed located in the floating cloud mountains. It's really unfortunate that when I got the hairpin, something happened in the floating cloud mountains. The sect strictly ordered all disciples not to go deep into the floating cloud mountains. Because of this, Yuiao couldn't make things difficult for other fellow disciples, so she found fellow Taoist Song. This. Is it not possible for fellow Taoist Yu Bei? Hey. My senior sister is also a cautious person. She is afraid that we will encounter danger if we go deep into the floating cloud mountains. She insists that we must be accompanied by a cultivator in the late foundation establishment stage. But there are not many cultivators in the late foundation establishment stage. I know outside the sect after much thought, the only one I can trust is fellow Taoist Song. Although what Gao Yuiao said didn't seem to have any problems, Song Qingming knew in his heart that in addition to these reasons, she might come to him for another reason. That is, the cost Gao Yuiao needs to spend to ask for help from an outsider like him with no background would definitely be much lower than asking for help from those masters in the Xiaoyao sect. Chapter 369, Sect's Good Deeds. After hearing Gao Yuiao's answer, Song Qingming smiled and nodded. Fair Gao, you are too kind. You told me this directly, which shows that you trust me. Unfortunately, I have just broken through the late stage of foundation building, and my foundation has not yet been completely stabilized. I am also a little worried that I can't help you when I go there, and it will distract you. Since there is still a month, I think Fairy Gao should look for other people. This is also a rare opportunity. I think there are still many people who are interested in the Cave of Giant and Cultivators. This, seeing Song Qingming directly reject her, Gao Yuiao was also a little surprised, and her jade face was full of disappointment for a while. Although Song Qingming had gone out for training many times when he was young, he had not taken the initiative to go out with others to explore opportunities for decades since he was cheated by the Wang family in the floating cloud mountains. He now has a fragment of the map that can help him quickly draw talismans and refine formations in exchange for spirit stones. He is not short of cultivation resources at all, and he is not very interested in this kind of invitation to go out for adventure. Although Gao Yuiao and she had known each other since they were young, she was really overthinking to persuade Song Qingming to go with her just based on this and that treasure that she didn't know if she could get. Seeing that Song Qingming didn't seem to be pretending, Gao Yuiao gritted her teeth and continued, Fellow Taoist Song, don't rush to refuse. If you are really willing to help, no matter what the result is, Yuiao is willing to transfer 500 points of good deeds to you. I will stay in Qing County for 5 or 6 days when I come back this time. Fellow Taoist, please think about it. If you change your mind, you can send a letter to Jinbaodang in Qinghofang, or come to Lianhu Mountain to find me directly. This time Song Qingming didn't refuse directly. He nodded and said, then please give me a few more days, Fairy. I will go back and think about it carefully. I will definitely give you a reply within 3 days. After agreeing with Gao Yuiao, Song Qingming quickly took Songs in and left Lianhu Mountain together. Along the way, Song Qingming drove the flying sword calmly, still thinking about Gao Yuiao's last words. The reason why he didn't refuse directly in the end was because of the good deeds of the sect mentioned by Gao Yuiao. In the Xiaoyao sect's good deeds pavilion, as long as you have enough good deeds, you can almost exchange for most of the spiritual objects that can be found in Uyghur, of course, including the precious spiritual objects that every immortal cultivation family wants to get, the foundation building pill. But compared to the disciples in the Xiaoyao sect, It is easier to earn good deeds, and it is very difficult for these foundation-building families outside to exchange for a little good deeds. Since the Song family advanced to the foundation-building family, the total of more than 50 years has only been more than 1,000 good deeds. Song Qingming has also been to the Xiaoyao sect's good deeds pavilion several times over the years. He knows very well that if he wants to rely on the Song family to slowly earn good deeds in exchange for a foundation-building pill, it will take at least several decades. It can be said that it is not easy. Now, if Gao Yuiao is willing to transfer 500 points of merit to Song Qingming, then the Song family will be very close to the goal of exchanging for the foundation-building pill, which is also the most exciting thing for Song Qingming. In the past, the Immortal cultivation families like the Wang family and the Gao family, which have more than one foundation-building cultivator in the Xiaoyao sect, could use the method of transferring merit to exchange for the foundation-building pill. This is also the biggest reason why they can get a foundation-building pill every few decades. Of course, the merits of the disciples in the Xiaoyao sect cannot be transferred at will, and they will also be restricted by the merit pavilion. Gao Yuiao did not transfer the merits to the Gao family, but took it out as a bargaining chip to attract Song Qingming. It can be seen that she really gave it her all for this exploration of the Golden Elixir Cave. 3 days later, in an open space in the back mountain of the Song family, Song Qingming was controlling a huge blue wolf puppet to fight a giant eagle with a red body. The spells cast by the wolf and the eagle were colorful, shaking the ground and making huge pits everywhere. Although the Chiffon beast is also a second-level puppet beast, it is still inferior to the second-level demon beasts like Xian Huopeng. Even with the control of a master like Song Qingming who has rich experience in fighting, it still slowly fell into disadvantage after a while. Seeing that Xian Huopeng in the air spit out more ball of flames again, the Chiffon beast below was already unable to dodge. Song Qingming hurriedly raised his hand and used the Bishu bell to block it in front, so that the Chiffon beast did not suffer this attack. Otherwise, the puppet beast he had obtained with great difficulty would be damaged, and Song Qingming would lose more than he gained. After seeing Song Qingming block his attack and put the annoying blue wolf into the storage bag, Xian Huopeng fell from the air a little depressed, and muttered to Song Qingming a few times in dissatisfaction, as if he had not yet vented his anger. Okay. I know you are stronger than before. You have already defeated it, so don't be so stubborn. This is a reward for you. As Song Qingming threw out a few pills that it liked, Xian Huopeng quickly swallowed them all in one gulp, and patted Song Qingming with his wings happily, completely forgetting his unhappiness just now. Just as Song Qingming and Xian Huopeng were playing, a middle-aged man quickly came to the bamboo forest, bowed to Song Qingming respectfully and said, "Zitang greets the clan leader." Song Qingming turned around and looked at Song Zitang, and then immediately smiled and waved to him, asking him to stand up and come to his side. Song Zitang looked at Xian Huopeng, who was still happily swallowing the elixir, with some caution. Seeing that it didn't seem to care about his existence, he slowly walked to Song Qingming's side. Xian Huopeng has been the spiritual beast of the Song family for many years. Although it rarely shows up on the mountain, most of the Song family members know of its existence and are also very clear about the temper of this spiritual beast. If the clan leader Song Qingming had not been present today, Song Zintang would not have dared to go so close to it at any other time. Please help me go to King Hofeng and give this letter to the owner of Jinbaodang. When you get there, no matter what the other party asks you, you don't have to answer, just give the letter to him. After taking the letter handed over by Song Qingming, Song Zintang had a puzzled look on his face. He took a look at the letter in his hand and found that there was nothing else on it except a name. Clan leader. Are you talking about the Gao family's Jinbaodang? There shouldn't be two Jinbaodangs in King Hofeng, right? Song Qingming asked Song Zintang with a smile. Hearing this, Song Zintang's face slowly regained its calmness, and he nodded and said, Zintang understands. Clan leader, don't worry, I will leave for King Hofeng right away. Be careful on the road, try not to reveal your identity when you arrive at a market, and don't mention this matter to anyone in the future. Chapter 370 Duanzui. Half a month later, at the door of an inn in Yianfang. On the busy street, a man wearing a bamboo hat looked up at the sign above the inn door, and after confirming that he was in the right place, he strode into the inn. After entering the inn, the man in the bamboo hat asked the waiter at the door, and then went directly to a guest room on the second floor of the backyard of the inn, and knocked gently on the door of the guest room. After a while, the room was opened from the inside, and a woman in white slowly emerged from the door. Fellow Taoist Song, please come in quickly. You are so punctual. If I don't see you again, I'm afraid my sister will send a message towards me again." After hearing Gao Yuiao's complaint, Song Qingming smiled and took off his bamboo hat and explained, "I have actually been nearby for a long time, but I was a little worried that I would come too early and the ferry would not arrive yet and bump into other acquaintances, so I didn't enter the market in advance. Please forgive me, ferry." Half a month ago, after thinking about it again and again, Song Qingming decided to accept Gao Yuiao's invitation. Soon after, he came to Gianfang at the time she agreed. Compared with the lifespan of more than 500 years for giant and cultivators, Song Qingming, as a foundation-building cultivator, has a lifespan of only 400 years. If he fails to successfully form a pill before the age of 200, Song Qingming will definitely be like Gao Jin, who was sent away not long ago, and will eventually be able to sit in his cave and become a pile of dry bones. Song Qingming has now reached the 7th level of foundation building. It is estimated that he will be able to cultivate to the 9th level of foundation building in another 20 to 30 years. He is not too far from the peak of the foundation building period. It is time for him to make some plans for the formation of the elixir. In the world of immortal cultivation, the things that can assist cultivators in forming the elixir are at least 3rd level spiritual objects. This level of spiritual objects is rare in major markets, even in large auctions and black markets. Moreover, high-level spiritual objects are as rare as foundation-building pills. Many times, even if you come across such things, you may not be able to buy them even if you have enough spiritual stones. In most cases, you can only exchange spiritual objects of the same level. When Song Qingming was still in the Qi refining stage, he followed Chen Liudao to open the cave of a senior who had built the foundation. That time, Song Qingming not only got several second-level spiritual objects, but also a lot of spiritual stones and cultivation manuals. For him, who was not rich at the time, he could be said to have become rich overnight. If Song Qingming can really find the giant and cave mansion and obtain 1 or 2 high-level spiritual objects left by giant and monks during this trip to the floating cloud mountains, it will definitely be able to exchange for some valuable resources for Song Qingming's future dam formation. Regardless of whether there is any gain or not, Song Qingming can at least get 500 points of good deeds from Gao Yuiao after he returns, so that he can get a foundation-building pill for the family in a short time. This trip to the floating cloud mountains is worth it for Song Qingming, whether it is for himself or the younger generation of the family to have a chance to build a foundation. After meeting Gao Yuiao in the inn, under her guidance, the two put on their hats to cover their faces and left Gianfang directly to the west. After flying for about 100 miles, the two came to a high mountain in the northwest corner of Gianfang, where Song Qingming also met the other 2 people who were traveling with him. One of them was a tall man with a square face and thick eyebrows. His cultivation was similar to Gao Yuiao, and he was also a cultivator who was about to advance to the 8th level of foundation building. The other one was a pink-dressed woman wearing a bamboo hat like Gao Yuiao. Because of the veil, Song Qingming could not see her face clearly, but the aura she exuded had reached the 9th level of foundation building. Song Qingming knew without asking that this was probably the senior sister Gao Yuiao mentioned. This woman could see that the mysterious hairpin on Gao Yuiao's body was mixed with the secret of the forbidden divine sand. She was definitely a cultivator with strong spiritual awareness. With such a powerful person in Xiaoyao sect, Song Qingming estimated that her status was not much worse than Li Yongguang in the Blackstone Valley that day. She should also be the key seed of the Xiaoyao sect senior sister Gao. Is this the fellow Taoist Song you mentioned a few days ago? The pink-dressed woman first came forward to greet Gao Yuiao, and then immediately pointed to Song Qingming standing next to her and asked. Gao Yuiao nodded and introduced, "Fellow Taoist Song and I are also from Qing County. He is also the patriarch of the Song family in Funiu Mountain. These 2 are senior sister Duan and fellow Taoist Fang, both of whom are my close friends. I am Song Qingming. Nice to meet you 2 fellow Taoists." Song Qingming bowed and took the initiative to greet the 2. On the way here, Gao Yuiao had actually introduced the 2 people to Song Qingming in advance. The senior sister Duan she mentioned was not only the close disciple of a giant and senior in the Xiaoyao sect, but also a very high-level second-level alchemist. The reason why Gao Yuiao has such a good relationship with her is that they are both alchemists. They often cooperate in alchemy and discuss alchemy formulas and spiritual medicines in the sect. Gao Yuiao herself is now also a second-level alchemist, and the alchemy level of this senior sister Duan seems to be even higher than hers. The two pink-dressed women immediately returned the greeting and said with a smile, Song Daoao is polite. I am Duan Zuai from Xiaoao sect, and this is Feng Wuqian Daoao from Yukong Mountain. I heard from senior sister Gao earlier that Song Daoao is a second-level array master. None of us major in arrays. This time when we explore the senior's cave, if we really encounter a difficult array, we will have to rely on Song Daoao. Since I have promised to come with senior Daoao, I will do my best. Please rest assured, Song Qingming smiled and agreed. When monks form a team, whether it is hunting monsters or exploring secrets and treasures, they naturally have to share the spiritual objects they get according to their merits. If there is really an opportunity for him to show his role, Song Qingming will certainly not be stupid enough to refuse. After several people introduced themselves to each other, Gao Yuiao said to Duan Zuai, the senior cave recorded in the Harpin is thousands of miles away from here. Since everyone is here, let's hurry up and set off immediately. Duan Zuai nodded slightly, threw out a white flying boat, and jumped on it first. Seeing that Duan Zuai had a small flying boat, Song Qingming's face also showed a little surprise, and he couldn't help but look at her twice more. After Duan Zuai controlled the flying boat, Song Qingming and the other three followed closely and jumped on the flying boat under her feet. Soon a white light lit up on the mountain and went directly to the north. The mountain, which was originally a little lively, also returned to its former tranquility. Chapter 371, Cave Entrance. The four people took turns to control the flying boat to the north. Because they were all cultivators with similar cultivation levels and had a rare opportunity to sit together, they would naturally exchange some of their cultivation experiences with each other, and they quickly became familiar with each other. Compared with Gao Yuiao and Duan Zuai, two Xiaoao sect disciples with higher status in the sect, Feng Wuqian was similar to Song Qingming. They were both ordinary cultivators of the Uyghur Xiuxin family. He spoke more straightforwardly than the two of them, which made Song Qingming have a better impression of him. The reason why Feng Wuqian was invited by Duan Zuai was because Duan Zuai had done him a great favor before, and this time it was also a rare opportunity for him, so Feng Wuqian naturally didn't want to miss it. After traveling about 1,000 miles northward, the flying boat had already penetrated deep into the floating cloud mountains. From time to time on the road, they would encounter some low-level monsters such as flying birds to harass them. In order not to alarm those high-level second-level monsters, everyone did not choose to kill these monsters, but tried to drive them away from the flying boat. When the flying boat went about 3,000 miles deep into the floating cloud mountains, there were many high-level monsters above level 2, and few cultivators would set foot there. In order to avoid the attention of those high-level monsters, everyone could only slowly slow down the speed of the flying boat and carefully pass through the territory of these high-level monsters. After traveling for another 4 or 5 days, the flying boat passed several high mountains and a river more than 10 feet wide appeared in front of them. Gao Yuiao, who was standing on the flying boat, saw the river and hurriedly said loudly, Sister Duan, wait a moment, the place recorded in the Harpin seems to be nearby. Hearing Gao Yuiao say this, several people on the flying boat stood up instantly and looked at the river below. According to the records above, this cave is below a pool of water on the north side of the Jinshi River. After we walk a distance forward, let's go down together to see if there is anything that looks unusual. After crossing the Jinshi River mentioned by Gao Yuiao, the flying boat came to a swampy area with puddles everywhere. The scope of this swamp is very large, with a total radius of about dozens of miles. After getting off the flying boat, everyone chose a direction and began to disperse to look for the pond that Gao Yuiao mentioned. What was strange was that after searching for a while, they didn't even find a big pond until they met up at night. They were all small puddles that were only 1 or 2 feet in radius. Although some of these puddles were bottomless, they were too far away from the large pond that Gao Yuiao mentioned, which was more than 10 feet wide. There was no way to consider it as a pond. Fellow Daosong, could it be that the senior has set up a concealment array nearby, so we can't find the pond? Seeing that several people had returned empty-handed, Duan Zuai hurriedly asked Song Qingming who was standing beside him. Song Qingming shook his head and replied, at present, I haven't seen anything unusual, but there are many magic arrays in the world of immortal cultivation. It's hard to say whether there is such a brilliant array that can deceive all of us. We need to check it carefully. Fairy Duan, don't worry. If there is a hidden magic array covering the pool, you can find out the abnormality after searching a few more times. After midnight, the swamp area near the river began to float with diffuse white fog, which soon blurred the surrounding scene. Song Qingming, who was resting with his eyes closed, suddenly felt a strange movement in the fog with his consciousness, and he quickly opened his eyes. Song Qingming just wanted to look around, but found that Duan Zuai, who was sitting opposite him, had already noticed the strange movement before him. At this moment, she had also opened her bright eyes and was carefully observing the fog beside her. Since practicing the soul-devouring art given to him by Feng, Song Qingming's spiritual consciousness has become about twice as strong as that of an ordinary foundation-building cultivator. In all these years, he has never seen a foundation-building cultivator whose spiritual consciousness is comparable to his current one. He is even more curious about Duan Zuai, wondering what kind of spiritual consciousness technique this woman has practiced. The movement in the mist is getting closer and closer to everyone. Soon, Go Yuiao and Fang Wuqian, who have weaker spiritual consciousness, also discovered the movement in the mist one after another and woke up from their meditation. Just as everyone was carefully observing the surroundings, a hissing sound suddenly sounded in the mist, followed by several huge red eyeballs suddenly appearing in the mist. Two huge demon crocodiles opened their huge heads from the mist and pounced on the four people. These two demon crocodiles are huge, several feet long, and are obviously demon beasts above level 2. Behind them, there are more than a dozen blood-red eyes, but these eyes look smaller than the two giant crocodiles in front. Seeing that the two level 2 demon crocodiles were coming with ill intentions, Song Qingming and Fang Wuqian, who had already prepared, looked at each other and immediately stopped the two demon crocodiles on the left and right. Although the two demon crocodiles were huge, they were only level 2 low-grade demon beasts. In front of Song Qingming and Fang Wuqian, two late-stage foundation-building cultivators, they could not pose any threat at all and were quickly suppressed by the two to the side. After dozens of demon crocodiles followed behind, before they began to attack, Go Yuiao used a purple streamer magic weapon to directly flip them upside down, and they had no way to get close to the few people. Seeing that the three people who had already started the fight did not need her help at all, Duan Zuai used a feather fan and fanned it directly in front of them, immediately fanning away most of the fog that affected everyone's vision, revealing the low-level demon crocodiles who were still at a loss in the fog. Seeing that these people were not easy to mess with, the demon crocodiles that had not yet approached hesitated for a moment, then slowly retreated and began to flee. The two level 2 demon crocodiles were soon defeated by Song Qingming and the others, and died unwillingly in the hands of several people. After killing the last demon crocodile, the sky gradually brightened. Fang Wuqian looked at the corpses on the ground and said in confusion, "It's strange. We didn't find these demon beasts when we searched during the day. Where did they suddenly appear from? It doesn't look like they came from somewhere else. Their nest should be in those puddles. We'll know when we go over there and take a look." Duan Zuai looked at the puddles in the distance and replied thoughtfully. After the few people cleaned up the corpses of the two second-level demon crocodiles, they followed the footprints of the low-level demon crocodiles and soon came to a bottomless puddle. After Duan Zuai looked around carefully, he smiled and said, "I finally know why we couldn't find the pool of water before. It turns out that the entrance to this cave is under these puddles." If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 372, Magical Array at the Bottom of the Pond. After hearing what Duan Zuai said, the other three people standing above the puddle were stunned for a moment, and then slowly came to their senses. Go Yuiao nodded and said, "It seems that the water level of the Jinshu River has risen over the years, turning this place into a swamp. After this group of monsters occupied this place, they happened to build their nests near the pool. Over the years, they dug holes everywhere and changed the landform here beyond recognition. This also caused the pool recorded in the hairpin to completely disappear from the ground. Yes, the concentration of spiritual energy here is indeed richer than other places. There should be another world below," Song Qingming also echoed. "If you are here, you will know if you go down and take a look. There should be many monsters underwater. Why don't you two fairies wait on the shore first, and leave this rough work to me and Brother Song?" After hearing Fang Wuqian's proposal, seeing that Song Qingming did not speak up to object, Duan Zuai and Go Yuiao looked at each other and immediately nodded in agreement. After using a water-avoiding spell to cover their whole bodies, Song Qingming and Fang Wuqian jumped into the water one after another and slowly sank down. After going 2 or 3 feet down, Fang Wuqian took out a white ball the size of an egg from his body, and the dark puddle around him immediately became brighter. The bottom of the puddle was obviously much larger than the entrance. The two looked around and soon found several lights coming in from other entrances. As Gao Yuiao said, the puddles of different sizes around here were all connected after they went down. It seemed that this was the place they were looking for. Fellow Taoist Song, it seems that this is the right place. Why don't we go to the bottom of the puddle first and call the 2 fairies down after we find the entrance to the cave? Fang Wuqian used the ball in his hand to shine down and found that he couldn't see the bottom of the puddle. After thinking for a moment, he directly spoke out his suggestion. Okay, let's do as Brother Fang said. Song Qingming had just turned around after he finished speaking. Before he could take any action, there was a sound of water waves all around, and more than a dozen demon crocodiles that had escaped before surrounded the two of them again. These low-level demon crocodiles had seen the 2 leading level 2 demon crocodiles lose to the crowd on the ground before, and were easily frightened back to their nests by Song Qingming and his men. This time, perhaps seeing someone invading their nests, they no longer wanted to retreat. Humph! You really overestimate your own abilities. Looking at these somewhat crazy demon beasts, Fang Wuqian sneered, raised his hand and cast a spell to release a burst of water spikes, which instantly pierced the heads of several demon crocodiles rushing in front, and the originally deep blue pool of water immediately burst into a burst of deep red blood. Seeing that Fang Wuqian had already taken action, Song Qingming, who was standing aside, was naturally not idle either. He saw that after he dodged the sneak attack of a demon crocodile sideways, he immediately had a black short blade in his hand, and easily cut off the giant of the demon crocodile with one knife. Not long after, when Song Qingming put away the magic weapon in his hand, the only thing left in the pool was the corpses of the monsters that slowly floated to the surface, and the fish and shrimp that came after smelling the blood. Fang Wuqian saw that he had dealt with the monsters, and after greeting Song Qingming, he went to the bottom of the pool first. Song Qingming did not have water spirit roots in his body, so he rarely practiced water-attributed exercises. After entering the deep water, his escape speed was obviously half a step slower than Fang Wuqian, who was walking in front of him. After the two fell down about 10 feet deep, they finally reached the bottom of the pool. The dark bottom of the water finally ushered in a long-lost light. The bottom of the pool was not as big as the top, and the area was only about 7 or 8 feet wide. After walking a small circle at the bottom of the water, the two soon came to a few strange boulders piled together. These boulders were piled in a corner of the bottom of the pool, forming a square shape, which looked somewhat obviously moved and placed by humans. Song Qingming walked forward and looked carefully, and then said to Fang Wuqian, "Fang Daoyao, there is a magic array here that seals the spiritual power at the bottom of the pool. The entrance should be here. Send a message to let them all come down." Fang Wuqian nodded, took out a long-prepared secret message and sent it out. Soon Duan Zuai and Gao Yuiao also came to the bottom of the pool. "Song Daoyao, how do you see where this magic array came from?" Go Yuiao saw Song Qingming and the others standing next to a pile of rocks, and immediately saw that there was another formation here. Song Qingming smiled and turned around and replied, "Don't worry, although I have never seen this formation, I have seen a similar formation in a classic book. As long as you give me more time to study it, it should not be difficult to solve it. In this case, I will trouble you first." Song Daoyao, Go Yuiao heard Song Qingming say that he was sure to break this magic array, and he immediately breathed a sigh of relief. Duan Zuai, who was standing aside, did not speak after seeing this magic array, but walked up and studied it carefully with Song Qingming. "Fairy Duan, is she also a formation master?" Seeing Duan Zuai standing aside and watching non-stop, as if she also knew some formations, Song Qingming asked with some doubt in his heart. "Haha. I am just a little interested in the formations, not a second-level formation master. Fellow Taoist Song, just break the formation, don't worry about me." Duan Zuai raised her eyes and looked at Song Qingming, then shook her head gently. Hearing Duan Zuai's answer, Song Qingming nodded somewhat unexpectedly, and then focused his attention on the pile of rocks in front of him, and ignored her. Although this formation actually has some tricks, Song Qingming's current formation level is not low. As long as he does not encounter those very difficult second-level upper-grade formations, other formations can be quickly broken in his eyes as long as he has time. After studying for several hours, Song Qingming finally decided on a way to break the formation. With the help of Du and Zuai, who took the initiative to help, the two quickly began to insert a set of formation flags into the soil around the boulder according to fixed positions using magic. Although Du and Zuai denied that she was a second-level formation master, Song Qingming could still see that her formation level was not low, and she should not be far from being a second-level formation master. After all the preparations were done, Song Qingming gathered the 4 people here at the formation and arranged directly, "Fellow Taoist Fang, you will use this formation flag to lock the spiritual energy in the northwest corner of the formation first, and fellow Taoist Go will use the blue formation flag to lock the position in the middle of the formation later. Fairy Duan and I will be responsible for moving the stones in the middle of the formation. Everyone remember not to use your own magic power to touch the stones in the formation casually, otherwise the spiritual power of the formation will be disordered, and it will be easy to fail." Go Yuiao nodded first and said, "Fellow Taoist Song, just command with confidence, we will definitely help you and cooperate with you." Chapter 373 Bao Guangding. Then let's get started. Seeing that the 4 people had already taken their positions, Song Qingming was also officially ready to start breaking the magic circle. As Fang Wuqian, under Song Qingming's command, inserted the last formation flag in his hand into the northwest corner of the magic circle, the spiritual energy in the middle of the pile of boulders immediately began to collide violently. After the spiritual energy in the middle of the magic circle gradually weakened, Go Yuiao, who was holding a black formation flag, quickly raised her jade hand and inserted the formation flag in her hand heavily into the middle of the magic circle. As the spiritual energy in these 2 locations was blocked by the formation flags, the spiritual energy around the entire stone slowly stabilized. "Now, Fairy Duan, hurry up and move the stones according to the direction I arranged." As soon as Song Qingming finished speaking, he had already started to move a huge stone next to his feet 1 step ahead. Duan Zuai, who had been preparing for a long time, was not much slower than Song Qingming. After tidying up the clothes in her hands, she immediately started to move a huge stone. Since they could not touch the stones with their magic power, Song Qingming and Duan Zuai could only move the stones with their own strength, which was naturally much slower than moving them directly with magic power. Fortunately, both of them were already foundation building monks. After the marrow cleansing and body refining during the foundation building period, the physical bodies of the foundation building monks had long since shed their mortal bodies. Under normal circumstances, their hands could easily exert several hundred kilograms of strength, so it was no problem to move the 100-200 kilogram boulders in front of them. Originally, this kind of work of moving stones should have been done by Fang Wuqian, a tall and strong man, but Fang Wuqian did not understand the way of formations at all, and it was possible that he would put them in the wrong position in the middle. In order not to waste time, Song Qingming thought about it and arranged Duan Zuai to help him move these stones. This time, he cracked this formation using the more commonly used method of breaking through the formation lines. As long as he first found the weak position of the attack formation, and then found a way to temporarily lock the spiritual power of the entire formation, and then reverse the lines of this formation, he could easily paralyze this formation. The pattern of the formation in front of them was engraved on the huge rocks under the feet of the 4 people. As long as these huge rocks were moved one by one and rearranged according to the position set by Song Qingming, the aura of the entire formation could be reversed. This method is relatively cumbersome and troublesome, and it usually takes a long time to successfully crack the formation, but it is very useful. Since Song Qingming became a formation master, most of the formations he encountered can be cracked by this method. More than an hour passed before Song Qingming and Duan Zuai carefully moved the huge rocks to the positions they had set. At this time, Fang Wuqian and Gao Yuiao, who were still using their internal mana to block the aura of the formation through the formation flags, had also consumed a lot of their internal mana. "To Taoist friends, we are ready here, you can put away the formation flags." As Fang Wuqian and Gao Yuiao withdrew the formation flags in their hands, the formation began to be filled with aura again, and violent collisions began to occur again. Everyone also began to step aside and carefully observe the movements of the formation. However, this time, the operation of the magic array seemed to have a problem. The spiritual energy was no longer locked in the magic array, but began to disperse and penetrate into the pool. After feeling the changes in front of her, Duanzuyi bowed to Song Qingming with joy and said, "Fellow Taoist, Song is really extraordinary. He broke this array so quickly. I must ask you about the formation again when I have the chance in the future. Fairy Duan is too polite. I am just lucky to have seen a similar formation before. Otherwise, with my level of formation, it would be unlikely to find a way without 10 days or half a month." Although Gao Yuiao and Fang Wuqian were not very interested in the formation, they had heard the news they wanted to hear from Song Qingming and the others. This formation had been successfully broken by Song Qingming. Next, it was their turn to enter the cave together to search for spiritual objects. When the spiritual power in the magic circle gradually became thinner, Song Qingming stepped forward again, took out the black silver knife from his storage bag, and smashed a huge stone in front of him. As the huge stone suddenly disappeared, a wave of spiritual energy suddenly appeared in the middle of the magic circle, and a blue stone gate slowly appeared. A layer of water-repellent runes was applied above the stone gate, blocking the cold pool of water. Inside was a long corridor leading to a dark place. After the four people looked at each other, Fang Wuqian was the first to raise his legs and enter, walking in the front position. Next followed closely behind, Gao Yuiao, who was a little anxious, and Song Qingming, who had just led the four people to cast a spell to break the formation. Duanzuyi carefully observed for a while and walked at the back. Fang Wuqian, who was walking in the front, took out the glowing round bead he had worn before, illuminating the way forward for the four people. Although the cracking of the magic circle outside made everyone underestimate the protection of this cave, but at this time, being in the cave of such a giant and cultivator, there is still a possibility of encountering some dangers at any time. Even if they weren't already very excited, they were still very careful on the way forward. After walking about 4 or 5 feet in this corridor, the front suddenly became clear. Fang Wuqian, who was walking in the front, slowly injected magic power into the round bead magic weapon in his hand, and the round bead gradually became more spiritual than before. He took out the glowing round bead before and illuminated the entire corridor. Everyone also saw a hall that was 4 or 5 feet high and wide, and there were several gates around it. It looked like the alchemy room, pharmacy and other compartments of the previous owner. It seemed that this cave was a little bigger than they imagined. "Look, this thing seems to be a magic weapon," as Fang Wuqian, who was walking in the front, shouted. Song Qingming and others immediately walked forward, and soon, under the leadership of Fang Wuqian, they came to a small red and yellow tripod in the middle of the hall. This small red-yellow tripod is only about the size of a palm, and the words Baoguang are engraved on it. Because the small tripod has been placed in the hall as the center of the formation, it still looks bright and shining. It is placed on a table on the right side of the hall. Fang Wuqian, who arrived there first, quickly took the small tripod in his hand and looked at it carefully. It looks very powerful. I thought it was a magic weapon. It turns out that I was wrong." After Fang Wuqian finished speaking, Gao Yuiao took the small tripod in her hand and looked at it. Then she said to Duanzuyi with some surprise, "Although this Baoguangding is not a magic weapon, it still has a hint of medicinal fragrance. It should be able to be used as a furnace for alchemy. It is also very valuable. It just happens that both me and senior sister Duan can use it." Chapter 374 Spiritual Medicine Garden. Hearing Gao Yuiao say this, Song Qingming couldn't help but take a closer look at the Baoguangding in her hand, and found that this magic weapon was also a rare second-grade upper-grade magic weapon. If it could also be used as a second-grade upper-grade alchemy furnace for alchemy, then the value of this item would far exceed that of ordinary magic weapons of the same level. A second-grade upper-grade alchemy furnace is rare even in a large market like Yangshanfang. It is estimated that there are no more than 10 cultivators in the entire Uyghur who own this treasure. If only the price of spirit stones is considered, this Baoguangding is estimated to be more valuable than the Bishu bell in Song Qingming's hand. Seeing Gao Yuiao holding the Baoguangding with great interest, Duanzuyi on the side could only smile helplessly, and turned to Song Qingming and the others and said, "Since we have already agreed in advance, I think senior sister Gao should keep this item first. We will make a distribution after we leave here. Do you two Taoist friends have any objections?" Although Fang Wuqian's eyes had never left the Baoguangding, he had always listened to Duanzuyi's words along the way, and nodded immediately to show that he had no objection. "Just follow what the fairy said, I have no objection." Song Qingming also followed Fang Wuqian and replied with a smile. Seeing that they had reached a consensus, Go Yuiao generously put the Bao Guangding into her storage bag, and then the four of them turned around and left the hall to look at other places in the hall to see if there were any treasures that were missed. As soon as they came in, they got the treasure of the Bao Guangding. Now everyone's faces were filled with smiles, and they were full of expectations for other treasures in the cave. This cave can use a second-level top-grade magic weapon as the center of the formation. It seems that what Gao Yuiao said on the harpin is true. This place is likely to have been a cave of a giant and cultivator. However, after searching around, everyone found that in the hall, apart from the Bao Guangding, there were only some books and miscellaneous items that were rotten and difficult to identify, and no other valuable spiritual objects. It seems that no one has come in here for at least hundreds of years. It is really hard to say what the senior left in the cave. Fortunately, in addition to these useless things, there are 3 tightly closed stone doors in the cave hall. It seems that it should be the place where the owner of the cave is practicing in seclusion, or refining pills and tools. There is still a high probability of finding good things. Everyone, this stone door is a bit solid. Let me open it, Feng Wuqian said, and under the expectation of everyone, he patted the spiritual beast bag on his waist and released a tall green bull. Although this green bull monster beast didn't look high-ranking, and was only a first-grade upper-grade monster beast, it was extremely powerful when it moved. It took a few steps back, then quickly began to run forward at full speed, and its huge body instantly crashed into the first stone gate. There was only a boom sound, and the stone gate was like a wooden board, and was easily smashed into a pile of rubble by Feng Wuqian's green bull monster beast. Seeing that his spirit beast did not disappoint everyone, Feng Wuqian quickly stepped forward and waved his sleeves. After casting a spell to release a breeze to blow away the dust in front, he made a please gesture to everyone with a smile on his face. Haha. Everyone, please. The 4 people walked forward one after another. After entering the first stone gate and seeing the scene inside clearly, Song Qingming and others showed surprised expressions on their faces. This seems to be a spiritual medicine garden. Unexpectedly, behind this stone gate, there was actually a very large spiritual medicine garden hidden. This really surprised the 4 people, and they couldn't help but exclaimed. The space of this spiritual medicine garden is much larger than the hall outside. The ground, with a radius of more than 10 feet, is full of various immortal herbs and spiritual medicines. The spiritual energy inside is much richer than outside. However, it is a pity that most of these herbs have lost their spiritual energy and withered because no one has taken care of them for a long time. Only some spiritual medicines in the middle are still glowing with spiritual light. The 4 people ignored the spiritual medicines that were no longer valuable around them and went directly to the middle of the spiritual field. They found that the spiritual energy here was more abundant than other places. It seems that there is a magic array such as a gathering array under the spiritual field. In this small area, a total of 8 spiritual medicines were planted. Although Song Qingming could not recognize the names at a glance, judging from the aura emitted by the spiritual medicines, the quality of these spiritual medicines is not low. At least they are spiritual medicines of level 2 or above. Especially the 2 snow-white spiritual flowers on the far left. Song Qingming looked at their grade, and it seemed to be similar to the 3rd-level Xianmeng flowers he had picked with the Wang family before. It is very likely that they are also 3rd-level spiritual medicines. Before Song Qingming could recognize the item, Go Yuiao, who was standing by, saw the 2 spiritual flowers and suddenly shouted with joy, "Could this be the 3rd-level snow dragon flower? Senior Sister Duan, I must have recognized it correctly. I didn't expect that there were 2 3rd-level spiritual medicines hidden here. Fellow Taoist Gao, you said that these 2 spiritual medicines are 3rd-level spiritual medicines, so we are really lucky this time." Feng Wuqian, who was standing by, also became excited when he heard Go Yuiao shouting. Yes, they are indeed 3rd-level snow dragon flowers, but it's a pity that these 2 spiritual medicines have been unattended for a long time, and their spirituality has been damaged. It is difficult to use them as the main medicine for refining pills. I can only give them to my master as auxiliary medicines for refining other high-level spiritual pills. As an alchemist, Duan Zuai's alchemy level is much higher than Go Yuiao's, and her identification of various spiritual medicines will naturally be more accurate. Under her guidance, several people soon discovered that some light yellow spots had appeared on the leaves below the 2 snow dragon flowers, which was the obvious characteristic of spiritual loss in the spiritual medicine. Moreover, it was not only the snow dragon flowers, but also several other spiritual medicines in different positions. Duanzuai sighed softly and said, "It seems that the owner of this cave should also be an alchemist. The spiritual medicines planted here should all be used by him to prepare for his own alchemy. It's a pity that we came too late. No one has taken care of them over the years and they have been depleted. Even the spiritual medicines that are still alive are now spiritually damaged and can't show their original value. Once the spirituality of ordinary spiritual medicines is damaged, as Duanzuai said, the original medicinal effect will be affected and the value of the spiritual medicine will be greatly reduced. However, even so, these spiritual medicines can still be exchanged for a lot of spiritual stones when taken outside, especially the 2 third-level snow dragon flowers. Even if the medicinal properties are damaged, they can be exchanged for a lot of good things directly at the Xiaoyao Sect's Good Merit Pavilion." Duanzuai and Gao Yuiao took out several jade boxes and carefully picked the spiritual herbs. The 4 people present were already very satisfied to be able to get these spiritual herbs in them. Chapter 375 Alchemy Room. After everyone came out of the first stone gate with satisfaction, Feng Wuqian summoned the big blue bull again and used the old method to violently demolish the second stone gate. This time, they entered a stone chamber that looked small. As soon as they walked in, Song Qingming felt as if he smelled a strange medicinal fragrance. Smelling the smell and looking around, he found that there were several rows of wooden racks made of spiritual wood placed against the wall around the stone chamber, and there were many small porcelain bottles of different colors on them. Gao Yuiao walked up and picked up one of the porcelain bottles, opened it and took a look, then put it to her nose and smelled it, then frowned and threw it aside. "Senior Sister Duan, your guess is really right. This seems to be the place where the senior made pills. It's a pity that these pills have been useless for a long time. I can only take them back as waste pills for pharmacology research. Ordinary pills are different from other spiritual objects. No matter how well you preserve them, they will begin to lose their spirituality if they are left for too long. Even a second-level top-grade spiritual pill, like the foundation building pill, can only be preserved for a few decades at most. No one had entered this cave for hundreds of years. The pills in the jade bottles were basically useless without opening them all." Gao Yuiao and Duanzuai put away the jade bottles and searched the stone chamber carefully, but they still found nothing and left with some regret. Song Qingming could guess that these 2 alchemists wanted to find something so much that they probably wanted to get the alchemy secret book left by this senior. In the world of immortal cultivation, high-level alchemists above the 3rd level are very rare. For example, Xiaoyao Sect, which has controlled the entire Uyghur immortal cultivation world for thousands of years, has only 2 third-level alchemists in the sect, and one of them has a short lifespan. Although Duanzuai has excellent cultivation talent and is a second-level spiritual root cultivator, there are at least 5 or 6 people like her in the Xiaoyao sect who focus on cultivating foundation seeds that can form pills. Without any special circumstances, Duanzuai's hope is obviously not as good as that of Li Yonggong, a cultivator with better talents. However, as a second-level upper-grade alchemist, as long as she has the opportunity to become a third-level alchemist, Duanzuai's status in the sect will rise instantly, and Xiaoyao sect will definitely invest more resources for forming alchemy in her. If Duanzuai and her partner are lucky this time and can find an alchemy book left by their predecessors, it will definitely help her alchemy a lot. In the future, there may be a chance for Duanzuai to break through and become a third-level alchemist. If this is true, her chances of forming alchemy in the future will also be greatly increased. After all, as a large sect, Xiaoyao sect still has to consider the long-term development of the sect. A third-level alchemist is enough to attract the attention of the sect's nascent sole patriarch. Gao Yuiao, who is also keen on this, also has the same idea in mind. Although Gao Yuiao's background in the sect is far inferior to that of Duanzuai, who has a golden elixir master to take care of her, she is also a second-level spiritual root cultivator. And her cultivation talent is not worse than Duanzuai, and she also has a good chance of forming a golden elixir. However, Gao Yuiao's current alchemy skills are only the second-level lower grade, and there is still a long way to go before she can become a third-level alchemist, but as long as there is this hope, she will naturally not miss it easily. After searching carefully in the stone chamber for several times, they still couldn't find what they wanted. Duanzuai and Gao Yuiao could only shake their heads helplessly and follow Song Qingming and the others to leave the stone chamber. Don't be discouraged, fairies. There's only this last stone door left. Maybe what you want is in it, Seeing that Duanzuai and Go Yuiao looked a little disappointed, Feng Wuqian, who was about to force the door open again, comforted the two girls with a smile on his face. After hearing this, Go Yuiao and Duanzuai's faces eased a little, and they focused their attention on this last stone door again. Following Feng Wuqian's order, the giant blue bull raised its limbs again, shouted loudly, and rushed towards the last stone gate. Everyone thought that this stone gate would be smashed into pieces by the blue bull with its brute force, just like the previous two stone gates. Unfortunately, when they saw the scene in the next moment, Song Qingming and others opened their eyes wide again, and Feng Wuqian's face had turned livid. After the blue bull hit the stone gate 1 foot in front of it, it seemed to hide a large ball of cotton, and the huge bull hut could no longer move forward. Seeing that it could not smash the stone gate, the blue bull retreated to a farther place, and hit the stone gate again at a faster speed. Unexpectedly, this time, like before, it still failed to hit the stone gate. The big blue bull was bounced back by a huge force and fell directly to the open space beside it. Fellow Taoist Feng, you should put away your spirit beast first. This stone gate is different from the previous ones. There should be special restrictions on it. It seems difficult to get in by brute force alone. Hearing Song Qingming's words, Feng Wuqian smiled awkwardly, and kicked the green bull lying on the ground with a confused mind, and then put it back into the spirit beast bag on his waist, making room for Song Qingming. Haha. Fellow Taoist Song, it's all up to you. Song Qingming nodded slightly, took out a set of formation flags from his storage bag again, and inserted them into the ground according to the position he had selected in advance. Fellow Taoists, please help me inject some mana into the formation I set up. Duanzuai smiled and nodded and replied, Fellow Taoist Song, you don't have to be polite. Just tell us what you need us to do later. This time, breaking the restriction on the stone gate was easier than the previous formation at the entrance of the cave. Song Qingming successfully broke the restriction in less than half an hour. Song Qingming first used the arranged formation to tentatively attack the stone gate until he detected the weak point of the restriction on the stone gate. He then used the spiritual power of the formation to gather the mana of several people together and directly launched an attack on the weak point of the restriction. Soon, the restriction was forcibly broken. The restriction on the stone gate was just casually arranged by the owner of the cave. After a long time, the power of the restriction had dissipated by more than half. Unlike the previous formation at the entrance of the cave, which had the Bao Guangding as the formation eye, it could continuously absorb the spiritual energy in the cave to replenish the formation and repair the damage of the formation at any time. Seeing that Song Qingming had lifted the restriction on the stone gate, Feng Wuqian, who had been unable to hold back any longer, took out a very heavy silver giant sword, stepped forward and aimed at the third stone gate, slashing out a sword energy. After a violent noise, the last stone gate quickly turned into a pile of rubble, revealing the scene hidden behind it. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.